Hello, Internet world of awesomeness. We are your bearded brothers. We are back again with yet another sports podcast. I'm your bearded brother, Matt.
I'm Chris.
That's the bearded brother, Chris. And we are back again to talk some football, a little bit of hockey, and we're just going to generally try to have a little bit of fun right now. So we are going to start off, I think we're going to start off with an interestingly fun story, mostly because it makes me laugh, and he and I were laughing about it. There's a couple of weird fun stories, then we'll do some injuries, and I've got another new segment that we're going to rotate in here that Chris should have some fun with, and then we'll get to the usual. So, first story, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is suing his dad and his dad's company for $12 million?
About 12 million, yeah.
About $12 million.
It's technically like 11.8 or something, but 12 million just
basically suing him for $12 million because in his first year rookie deal, I believe he made like $24 million or something, or $40 million?
It was the signing bonus was like 23 million, and I think the overall contract was like closer to 40 mil.
Yeah, but they took...
But I know the signing bonus was 23.
They took half of his signing bonus, essentially, and promised, the company was going to use it and grow it and do all these things with it, but then they all spent it frivolously on whatever the fuck they wanted, and there was zero accounting of how it got spent, and it all disappeared. So a while back, he had gone to court about it, and the judge had ordered that he would be paid back and that the financials of where it went would be made available. Well, that was a while back, and now it has come out that it looks like his dad and the company never intended to pay it back, and they have made zero financials about what happened to that money available. So he is going back to court to sue them for the entire amount. And his wife is essentially handling all of this because she has also been named as a plaintiff in this. I think he has learned not to lend or give family money. I can't remember his last name, but Vince, whatever his name was, out of University of Texas, played for the Titans for like 2 or 3 years and then washed out of the league entirely because of legal troubles with his uncle having stolen all of his money.
Yeah.
We all remember that saga. I don't remember the guy's last name, but it's a pretty common story where you become famous and then your family immediately tries to piggyback and claim your money as theirs because they've made this investment in you by buying you all of the shoes and the pads and all the time and the camps and everything else they've sent you to. They want repayment because they've looked at you as an investment rather than a person.
Which is pretty shitty, by the way.
Yes, 100%. Like, if you choose to repay...
Like, if it's a gift, that's one thing.
If it's a gift and you give it back, say, hey, thanks for spending all that shit on me, because now I'm successful, that's
now
totally
I can give you a little
thing.
bit back?
Yeah. But if you're trying to force that back out of your kids without anything, and look at them as piggy banks...
Yeah.
The other family that comes to mind, although I think he's been more successful and better off at it, is the Mahomes family.
He's just had so much money that even him giving them some money isn't a big deal.
Yes, but they all act like douche canoes.
Yeah, I think the only one that's not super douchey is his mom. Yeah. Honestly, from everything I've seen, his mom is the least douchey. His brother and sister are pretty douchey, and his dad is... Yeah.
His dad is his dad. Another thing... Actually, there were 3 stories, because this one is one I remember. Technically, we could go with 4, so we're going to do that. So, story number 2. This one made me laugh. I want to get your... Because I don't know if you heard it, so I want to get your opinion on it. Cam Newton said on his podcast that if...
I've seen some of his stuff, so we'll see.
That if Eli makes it into, gets a gold jacket before he does, makes it into Canton first, that Canton would owe him 2 gold jackets.
Wow, that is such a hard disagree. It's hard to disagree harder.
Cam, Cam, you're
I'm
not
sorry,
even going
Cam.
in once,
Eli's
dude.
got more success than you do, buddy.
Yeah, Eli at least has 2 Super Bowl wins. You don't even have that.
Say, we don't even have one, bud. Don't get me wrong. Do I think that he should probably at some point potentially make it in? Definitely not on first ballot. Potentially make it in. I think he's got enough stats that you could argue maybe.
I'd like to look at that,
maybe.
but I disagree
but
with
maybe
that.
Is,
but
that's why I'm saying maybe. At best is a maybe. I'm not even
maybe,
for sure
because
I'm saying a maybe.
Like you played, like you had 4 or 5 really good
really
years,
good seasons, and then
you fell off hard and became a nobody. And now you constantly insist that there are not 32 quarterbacks better than you, and yet nobody has picked up the phone to call you once. Daniel Jones will field more calls than you will.
Oh, 100%. In fact, I'm honestly shocked he still hasn't decided. I'm almost wondering if there's just too many people calling.
I think that's the deal. We'll talk about that in a minute because that's another story.
I was going to say, I have some more news on that whenever we get to it.
Actually, I kind of do too, and I get why now. There's a lot of interest in him. We'll get there.
I was going to say, I think we probably have the same news information then.
We'll get to that. A lot of it is from Colin.
Really?
Colin Coward, yeah. Colin,
I got my information somewhere else.
Yeah, I got mine from Coward and Rich.
I got mine from... Who was it? Schefter.
Yes. I figured they're probably also getting theirs from Schefter, so I think it all loops back around.
Probably roughly the same, probably. Yeah.
All right. Next funny little bit. The Giants. I mean, that's kind of a punchline in and of itself at this point. But two things came out, and I kind of think it's hilarious. First off, during the game, during the Eagles game against the Sunday Night Football game, they talked about how Saquon was happy in Philly. And they actually made comments about how he's enjoying football now. And all of these other things, because he's apparently said these things, is like, I'm actually enjoying football now. Like, the locker room culture here is great, and I feel like a leader, and I feel like I can be happy again.
Just dig in that hole for the Giants.
Oh, yeah, and then that comes on the heels.
And then even worse is, did you see the thing that he said to Daniel Jones, too? He said he hopes that Daniel Jones has a resurgence in his career moving just like he did.
Yes.
And hopes him to have the most amount of success.
Ooh. Which comes on the heels of Malik Neighbors saying all of the things that he said, which was detrimental to the organization. And
this
he
team
even
is
goes,
soft, yeah.
It's not the quarterback. We just switched the quarterback and we're getting the same results.
And then Brian Dable had to come out just today, too, about that. He went, I've had a talk with Malik. We've had discussions about...
He's just a competitor. He's really competitive.
He's just very competitive. I need to do better to get him the ball, blah, blah, blah. Basically oh, God, I got to make sure he doesn't want to go somewhere else. Oh, fuck.
Then there was Jerry Jones saying, I don't have a problem. I think it would be a good idea to extend Mike McCarthy. God damn it, Jerry. You've gone senile.
Do it, Jerry. Fucking do it. I don't even care anymore. The Cowboys fans will revolt against you, and you fucking deserve it.
No, they won't. Cowboy fans will keep lapping that up.
No way. I know so many Cowboys fans that if they re-sign McCarthy, will just revolt. I know too many that I've seen on YouTube and everything that are fans that'll be like,
I'd love to get TJ Jefferson's take on this.
Oh my God. I know, TJ. I would love to see if they ever do that and see TJ's response, because I imagine he was just going to go, why? I love TJ. He's great.
I do too. I love the fact that Kat has been trolling TJ as well.
To be fair, he kind of deserves it a little bit.
He does. I also want to shout out TJ's other podcast because he's a wrestling podcast.
Yes, I actually just recently saw that.
Yes, and I didn't know it was him at first, but then I saw clips of it on TikTok, and I actually asked him, "Is that like TJ from the Rich Eisen show?" And he responded to me, "Yes, that's me." I was like, "Woohoo!" Like, it's nice to see you doing a podcast.
I was gonna say I saw it on YouTube, and I think it was actually being promoted by Rich Eisen, like his.
I believe it is,
group.
yes. But I'd love to see Chris Brockman have a podcast of his own because Chris is a funny dude.
I think that's what the whole Rich Eisen and Chris have their own podcast.
They do.
Overreaction. I think that's what
Mondays is their own podcast.
So I think that is supposed mostly Chris's podcast, right? Because he does come up with a lot of the stuff and then just poses the questions to Rich.
Yeah. But anyway, no, I'm glad to see you guys doing that. I think that's a good thing to help build your brand.
Well, smart. I was gonna say it's smart for them too, because now is Rich Eisen's not just one podcast; it's a group of podcasts.
Yes.
It now makes them worth more in a lot of different ways.
100%. So
it's very smart for them to do that.
Fantastic ideas, guys. I love it. Anyway, if you ever want to have two doofuses on your podcast, let us know. You guys are
the odds are pretty much zero.
The odds that you ever see this are like none. I'll probably tag you.
Like 4 years from now.
I'll tag you in the comments or something, and down below when we actually put this up.
5 years from now. Oh, hey guys.
10 years from now, I'll be like, hey guys, are you guys still podcasting?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
If we're still podcasting, then Jesus Christ.
Who knows? A lot can happen in 10 years. Anyway,
I was gonna say, hopefully, a lot of good things happen compared to what.
All right, well, we've buried the lead enough on this. Right before the set of games kicked off this weekend, I think it was on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? It was either Wednesday or Friday. I can't remember if it was before Thursday Night Football or after. Regardless, the New York Giants officially released Daniel Jones.
I think that was Wednesday, but I don't remember.
Might have been Wednesday. I think it happened literally like we recorded Tuesday. I was editing the show.
Yeah, because it was like the
and I saw the news and I was like, "Damn it!" Just typical for us. No, absolutely. Wednesday they released Daniel Jones. He has now officially, by the time we're recording this, cleared waivers.
He's cleared waivers.
So he is a full-on free agent. Nobody has to take on the stupid contract the Giants signed him to. Now, from what I've heard, he's gathered a lot of interest from a lot of teams. The Lions, the Vikings, basically 49ers. But for a lot of teams, it's
Chiefs, actually, surprisingly enough.
The Chiefs, the Dolphins. But it's because if your quarterback gets hurt, you have to put in a backup. You could do worse than Daniel Jones. He is a very, very good backup. And in the right system, with the right talent around him, you can win with him. He never had that in New York. Because they never had a good line. They had a good running game for a while. But they didn't have, at that time, they didn't have the receivers. Then they got receivers and didn't have a run game. And they've never had an offensive line.
Yep, and the other thing too to note with that too is like people are like, well, what about the Raiders? He'd be a starter. He doesn't want to go there.
He doesn't want to go there.
They've talked about it. He's made it clear that he wants to go to a playoff team.
Yep, that's his big thing. So the Lions have expressed interest. The Vikings have expressed interest. There's a lot of teams bound for the playoffs that are kicking tires on him because they want him as a backup.
So I've heard. There's another reason why, as well, apparently, which I didn't know this was a thing, but apparently it's a thing. And I don't know how exactly this works, because I remember after Adam Schefter talking about it, I'd have to pull it back up to look at the specifics of it. But if a team did sign Daniel Jones for the short term, and then he ended up walking at the end of the season, there's a chance the team can get a compensatory pick.
Yes. It wouldn't be a high
compensatory.
It would be like a 5th or 6th round pick, usually.
Yeah, but it's still
an extra draft pick. Yes. Yeah. It is better than nothing. So
and knowing that teams like, the Vikings, for example, the GM that we have, likes to load up on draft picks.
Yes.
He loves to do that shit. So that would be a great thing, I think, actually.
Yeah, I
think it's a great idea.
I think it's a great idea, and that way, if we did happen to lose Darnold, I think Jones is better than Mullins.
Oh, 100%.
So, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think it would be the worst thing you could possibly do.
Also, in my book, I just think about it from the perspective of Daniel Jones and think about where would I want to go. Well, going to a place that has already shown success of rehabilitating QBs, such as either the 49ers or Vikings, would make the most sense.
You could also say the Rams have
The
rehabilitated
Rams, possibly.
QBs.
Yep.
Uh,
Yep.
the Chiefs haven't shown that they can rehabilitate a QB, but they've shown they can make one.
Yes. So you never know. It's possible.
You know, you've shown that you can make one down in Miami as well. There are a lot of places you can go with coaches that have looked like, okay, they know what they're doing.
Yep.
So, you know, even Texas, Houston for a bit. You know, you could
For a
look
bit,
at
yeah.
a backup in Houston. They're probably going to make the playoffs, would be my guess.
Probably.
But yeah,
I think that's the only reason I wouldn't say Rams, because the Rams are dark horse at best right now.
But I mean, you've got Seattle has rehabilitated Geno Smith, although
That's true.
that was kind of more Pete Carroll. But
Yeah, so I don't know if I would necessarily trust the current guy there yet, but
oh, by the way, did you see Seattle's troll after they won?
Which one?
They sent out a thing on X, which is a Seahawk sitting down with a set of like gamer headphones on, and he goes, "Ooh, double XP weekend, that's a kill." And he's got the controller in his hands, and then he's making finger guns at like this Cardinal in the Cardinals jersey.
Of course.
Of course.
Terrible.
All right. But no, yeah, so Daniel Jones is going to gather a lot of interest from playoff teams that could use him as a backup.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be fun to see where he eventually ends up. I think the funniest thing, it won't happen because they're not a playoff team. But everybody said the funniest thing to happen would be if he signed with Dallas to become the starter in Dallas and then beat New York on Thanksgiving.
That would have been
with
hilarious.
Dallas.
Yeah.
That would be the most hilarious ever.
Won't happen, but it'd be
Won't
hilarious.
happen, but hilarious to think about. All right. Also, Baltimore would not be a bad choice for him. Because he's
that's been another big one too.
Yeah, he's a running quarterback. He could easily kind of not replace, but he could slot in and kind of sort of do what Lamar
similar.
does.
He can do similar
style.
enough. Yeah, I think that's the reason why I think a lot of people are saying the Dolphins should look at him, because they've already seen what they can do without Tua. If they put in a guy that can do things that Tua can do, then maybe they would be able to have success if Tua does go down again.
Yes, and I agree with that. All right. We do need to talk, though, because there were two major injuries that we need to talk about. First off, and both of them are season-ending. Brandon Graham from the Eagles tore his tricep Sunday night, and he's done for the season. Whether or not that's his career or not, we still have to figure out. Because he isn't.
Oh, that's true.
He isn't getting any younger.
No, that's true.
So that could be his career if he decides to just hang it up after that. I'd feel bad for him that it's the way he had to go out, but we'll see. And secondly, Gardner Minshew on the shelf for the rest of the season, broke his collarbone late in the game against the Broncos. He did not replicate what he did with the Colts last year, which kind of sad. I really liked what he did with the Colts last year, and he made them look really good, and I thought maybe he could take a step, but it's mostly like I said, it feels like if you have to put the weight of being the man to guide the team on him, he kind of crumbles. If he knows that the starter's eventually going to come back, and he's just, even if he's gone for the season, I'm still going to go back to being the backup next year. There are no expectations because I'm the backup. Right. The moment you put expectations on him for anything, he crumbles like a house of cards. I hate to say that. That's just, some people are made to be backups and some people are made to be starters, and he's made to be a backup.
Yeah, I guess.
I hate to say that about him. I think he's a nice guy otherwise. He's also...
I think he's actually... I disagree a little bit. I think he's a fine bridge QB if you have a decent team.
The problem is he's got the talent.
Yeah, the problem is, like, if you compare, for example, so last year, like, we're talking Colts, right? I think Colts have a much better offensive line than the Raiders.
Okay, that's true.
Just so for comparing all of that information, all that together, I think Gardner is a perfectly fine bridge quarterback if you have decent pieces around you. The Raiders don't, and he's not one of those quarterbacks that can, work on the fly and give you crazy things. I mean, there's a reason why I will argue that Aiden O'Connell is a better quarterback, but there's a reason why you won't see him also have success. It's because this team is just shit.
And now it looks like they're going to turn to Desmond Ritter.
Nope, Aiden O'Connell is coming back. They've already announced that they are planning on returning him from IR, and he's already, so they've opened up his designation window, and they actually are trying to push him to play for Sunday.
We'll see if he does.
Or not Sunday, Friday. Friday. They play Friday against the Chiefs, sorry.
I believe they play Friday, yeah. And I don't know why you'd bring him back for that, because...
They want to. I don't know why.
Anyway, we'll see how all of that works out for them.
Yep.
All right. You ready for the new segment? Okay, so this new segment, here's what you're going to have to do. I don't need to know if they're going to win. I'm going to give you stats. You're going to tell me, based on the stats, if they are a contender for MVP or a pretender to MVP. I am going to tell you there are 5 quarterbacks, 1 running back, and 1 wide receiver. And yes, I am aware that a non-quarterback has not won since 2012. But I figured I'd put them, and a wide receiver has never won.
No.
A kicker
I think a running back has.
Running backs have, multiple times.
Yeah.
In fact, in 2012, it was Adrian Peterson.
Yes.
And a kicker has won MVP.
Really?
Yes. It was the 70s. It was a Washington Redskins kicker. He only missed 1 kick all year and led them to a Super Bowl victory over the Dolphins.
Yeah, I remember that, actually.
That was way
back.
I
don't remember it, but I remember hearing about it, I should say.
And then the only non-quarterback to win MVP multiple times was Jim Brown.
Yeah.
Who won it 3 times.
Which, shocking.
Yeah. But that's why there's 5 quarterbacks on here. There's a running back and there's a wide receiver. I don't need to know if you think... And here's the thing. I don't want you to say, oh, he can't win it because he's a wide receiver or he's a running back and it's going to be a quarterback. Just based on the numbers, would they be enough to put them in contention for it? That's it.
Gotcha.
All right, and then I'll tell you who the people are when we're done.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I already know who the running back is, but that's fine.
You may not. I may have chosen a different running back.
If it's not Saquon, I'd be shocked.
I will tell you it is. I had Henry on here, and then I replaced him with Saquon after that performance he just had.
The performance last night, yeah.
Okay.
Or last week, yeah.
So, your first person, completion percentage 67.2, yardage 3,028, 27 touchdowns, 4 picks, has run 31 times for 151 yards and a touchdown. Contender or pretender? Do you want me to give you another one so that you can base?
I was going to say, I kind of want a comparison real quick.
All right, your next one, 67.3% completion rating, 3,053 yards, 27 touchdowns, 3 picks, 103 rushes for 599 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Second one contender, first one maybe a contender. I would like to see a little bit more, but I'll say that they're close enough to contention.
Your next one, 64% completion rate, 2,543 yards, 18 touchdowns, 5 picks, ran 67 times for 316 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Ooh. That's close. I wish more passing, but then the yardage on the ground's a little bit better, but it's only touchdowns. I'm going to say pretender.
Your next one, 72.9% completion percentage, 2,761 yards, 20 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, has rushed 24 times for 39 yards and no touchdowns.
A lot of picks. And the yardage isn't as quite as I'd like. But that completion percentage is real nice. I'm going to say pretender. I don't think that that's quite enough.
Okay.
compared to the other two, anyways.
Your next one is a 69.8% completion percentage, 2,673 yards, 18 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, ran 44 times for 227 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, Pretender. Comparatively, it's too close to the other one.
All right. Your next person has run the ball 223 times for 1,392 yards, has 10 touchdowns, is caught 22 balls of 37 attempts for 257 yards and 2 touchdowns.
So this is where it gets hard because now I'm comparing him to potential QBs, and it's very, very different. I'll say contender just because I know that that's really good stats for a running back of any year to have. But yeah.
And then your last one has caught 73 passes of the 100 thrown to him for 1,056 yards and 12 touchdowns. He has also run the ball one time for 11 yards.
That's kind of funny. The pretty decent stats. I think is that quite 100? That's not 100 yards a game quite.
Not quite.
Right. That's a little off.
I think that's a little off right now.
But that's not bad. That's pretty good. I'll say contender. That's pretty good.
Okay.
For a wide receiver.
So your first one that you made contender, that's Joe Burrow.
I'm not shocked by that. He's got really good numbers, but that team's so bad that I don't think he'll win just because of that.
Your next one, Lamar.
Yeah, that doesn't shock me.
The first pretender. That's Jared Allen. Or not Jared Allen. That's
Josh Allen, really?
Yep. And the reason his yardage is so low is because he had a bye week this week.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The next one that you also said pretender, but that had the really good completion percentage, is Jared Goff.
That sounds about right.
The other one that you said pretender to right after that, that's Patty Mahomes.
To be fair, I'm not shocked by that because Patrick Mahomes, this is statistically his worst season he's played so far.
Then we had the running back was, of course, Saquon. And
I'm going to guess the wide receiver is probably Justin Jefferson.
No.
Oh, really? Okay. Give me. Hold on. I want to take a couple stabs at this to see if I can figure it out. NFC or AFC?
AFC.
AFC. Ooh. Which one in the AFC would that be? I don't think it's Malik. I don't think he's gotten even close to that many passes thrown to him yet.
No.
AJ Brown?
Nope. That's NFC anyway.
Oh, that's right. That's NFC. Duh. Stupid.
You want me to narrow it down further?
I didn't...
AFC North.
North?
Yeah.
That is not a place that I would have gone. Jamar Chase, really?
Yes, it's Jamar Chase.
Huh. Okay.
Because he's been having some boffo games.
To be fair, that's the only reason that offense is working is Joe and Jamar.
T isn't doing horribly either, but yeah.
To be fair, no.
Joe and Jamar are fucking killing it. And that's why I put him on here, because I'm like, look, I'm not going to lie to you. If Jefferson had had a better game on Sunday, he would have taken Jamar's place.
Yeah.
But he had, I think, one catch for 7 yards.
He did not have a good game. But I don't know if that's necessarily his fault as much as the defense was really doubling 100%. And tripling him on. Yeah.
And somebody else
There's a reason why
Jordan
Addison went fucking nuts.
I was about to get to that. Since we're talking about that, let's get into last week. Did you like that segment? That was easy, right?
That's not too bad.
Yeah. And I could do that. The thing is, I could do that for other things like Rookie of the Year or playoff teams, or it doesn't have to be stats for players. It can be for just about anything. And that's, I think, the fun part of that segment is I can tailor it to whatever we want to do with it.
Good luck doing Coach of the Year. That one would be really hard.
I mean, outside of
You'd have to look at stats from previous year to the current year to see improvement and everything. I feel like that'd be really hard to do.
Yes. But you could also do stuff from this year, like where is the team at? What is his offensive, did they improve the offensive rankings? Did they improve the defensive rankings? How did this work out? What is their record? What's their percentage?
Yep.
Yeah. And I can get to that. That would actually be not bad because I don't think very many people go through that. Alrighty. Alrighty. You started last week. I'll start this week.
Okay.
I gotta tell you, I didn't watch it down to this game.
Is it the Thursday game?
Yes.
Because I watched it. It was fun as shit to watch.
If you want to take it,
I can talk about it. Yeah, I'll talk about it.
Go right ahead.
It was so fun to watch.
Go ahead. You can totally take this game. I watched 0 downs from this because it was playing at the same time that the Wild were, and the wife and I were watching a Wild game.
Yep, you watched that instead. I watched this instead. So on Thursday, it was Pittsburgh at the Browns. Browns win 24-19.
We both picked Pittsburgh.
Now, to be fair, it was snowing.
Partway through the game, I will say that I did get to see some.
Pretty much past the first quarter, it started downpouring.
I got to see some of the stuff that Jameis said after the game about it, and he was like a little child who I just got done building snowmen, mommy. Dude,
you should have seen it after the game. That's what they did. They all went out and started. They literally were doing snow angels on the field. It was hilarious. The Browns were ecstatic. On top of that, I'm not gonna lie, the fact that they were throwing the ball as much as they were with how much whiteout conditions it was fucking ridiculous. I couldn't see shit, and sometimes they were throwing balls and receivers were catching it. I'm like, how are you seeing anything? How are you doing this? It was crazy. Anyways, with that said, let's look at stats. Steelers. Russell Wilson, 21 of 28, 270 yards, 1 touchdown. Again, 21 of 28, while it's snowing. It's fucking good, actually. In fact, the one thing that I think had the hardest game was actually, surprisingly, the rushing. I don't know, it's weird. Anyways,
it's a
rushing, we
slide.
have... Exactly. You would have thought it would have been harder to catch the football, but apparently that was easier than slipping and sliding all over the place. Jalen Warren, 11 rushing attempts for 45 yards and 1 touchdown. Justin Fields, 3 for 26. Najee Harris, 16 for 41. And Russell Wilson, 3 for 10. Receiving, we have Calvin Austin III, 3 receptions for 78 yards and 1 touchdown. Darnell Washington, 3 for 14. George Pickens, 4 for 48. Pat Freiermuth, 4 for 59. And Van Jefferson, 2 for 39. No, Russell Wilson did fumble and lose the ball. Zach Frazier fumbled the ball but did not lose it. Dante Jackson had an interception. Nick Herbig had 1 sack on the night, which is actually surprising. No sacks by TJ Watt. What the fuck? That's weird. Anyways, it is what it is, apparently. Kicking, we have Chris Boswell, 2 for 3 for a long of 48 and 1 for 1 on extra points. I just want to say how ridiculous a long of 48 in snow is for kicking. Come on. It's insane. Kickoff returns. Cordell Patterson had 2 for a long of 24, and Jalen Warren had 1 for 26. No punt returns. So overall, Pittsburgh didn't actually play bad. The Browns just played better. So let's look at stats. Surprisingly enough, this is where things are a little different. Jameis Winston, 18 for 27, 219 yards, no touchdowns, 1 pick. Rushing, Jameis Winston, 3 rushing attempts for 7 yards and 1 touchdown. Jerome Ford, 4 rushing attempts for 19 yards, and Nick Chubb, 20 rushing attempts for 59 yards, but 2 touchdowns.
I didn't start him, and I really wish I had, but it didn't matter in the end. I won my week this week anyway.
I won too, yeah. Receiving, Blake Whitehart, 1 for 29. Cedric Tillman, 2 for 28. Elijah Moore, 3 for 21. Jerry Jeudy, 6 for 85. Jordan Akins, 3 for 38. Cedric Tillman did fumble and lose the ball. Jameis Winston fumbled and lost the ball. Jordan Akins fumbled but did not lose the ball. Jordan Hicks had a sack on the night, and Myles Garrett had 3 sacks on the night. So defensively is where Cleveland won, which is what we expected to happen earlier in the season, but wasn't. Defense is finally stepping up big time for him. Kicking, Dustin Hopkins, 1 for 1 for a long of 34 and 1 for 1 on extra points. Kickoff returns were done by Jerome Ford. He had 3 for a long of 27 and no punt returns. Yeah, overall, like, this was just a chaos game. It was a fun, chaotic Thursday game. Like, I wouldn't call it a great game. It was just fun chaos due to the snow. It made it very entertaining. It's one of those few times where you look at a game that's happening and you go, I'm kind of glad that there are still some stadiums out there that don't have a closed roof yet, because these are just entertaining football games. Like, you match these two up normally, and this probably would have been a one-sided affair, but with the snow, made it kind of interesting.
Alrighty. That was fun to hear. I didn't watch it. I was busy watching the Wild game. However, I didn't watch this one, but I did watch a condensed version of it because I was interested in the game. I'm going to talk Broncos at Raiders. I'm going to leave the Vikings game for you because I did one last week, so I'm trying to be polite.
Fair enough.
So, Broncos at Raiders. Broncos win 29-19. We both picked the Broncos. We were both correct. Let's talk about the stats here. Bo Nix, 25 of 42, 273 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Sacked once.
Not great completion percentage, but the rest of it's pretty good.
Yeah. He had some problems early on, and then, at the beginning of the game, he looked a little shaky, and as the game went on, he got into it again and just started finding people.
Yep.
We'll talk about the guy he found most often here in a minute.
Guess who I started this week?
Please tell me you started him.
I did.
Rushing-wise, Jaleel McLaughlin ran 7 times for 44 yards. Audric Estime ran 3 times for 15 yards. Bo Nix, 1 for 5. Michael Burton, 1 for 3. Javonte Williams, 8 times for -2 yards. Oofta. And Marvin Mims Jr., 2 for -2. Thankfully, you were better receiving.
True.
Now, receiving, Cortland Sutton, 8 receptions of 10 targets for 97 yards and 2 touchdowns, and one of them was ridiculous. But he's always got those in him.
He does. He just needed somebody who could throw him the fucking ball.
But it's once a game, that dude will make a catch in the end zone, and you just go, how?
I know, that's why I've been starting him for the last 3 weeks, because, he's actually been doing crazy numbers. And it's funny, because I remember, for those who don't know, I traded for him this offseason because my fantasy league is a dynasty, and people were making fun of me for the trade, because I traded over Brian Robinson Jr. for him, and people were like, LOL, that's funny, you just traded an RB1 for a wide receiver 3. Who's fucking laughing now, bitches? Brian Robinson Jr. is fucking injured, and Cortland Sutton's going off. Fuck you.
Devon Vele, 6 for 80 yards. Mims Jr., 3 for 44. Troy Franklin, 2 for 31. Michael Burton, 1 for 8. Javonte Williams, 2 for 6. Lil Jordan Humphrey, 2 for 4. Adam Troutman, 1 for 3, and Jaleel McLaughlin did not haul in his single target. Malcolm Roach brought in a fumble. On defense, Cody Barton had 6 total tackles, 5 of them solo, and half a sack. Other sacks, Nick Benito, hey, there's a name we keep saying, had a sack. Jonah Ellis had a sack. Malcolm Roach had a sack. DJ Jones had half a sack. Jonathan Cooper had half a sack. And Ayoma Uwazuriki had half a sack. Brandon Jones had an interception. They didn't have any kick returns. Marvin Mims Jr. took a punt return, 22 yards. Will Big Nuts Lutz, 5 for 5 on his field goals with a long of 54.
He was my kicker, too. Yay!
Good job. Mine was the Pittsburgh kicker.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
2 for 2 on extra points. So not bad. All right, let's look at what the Raiders did or didn't do.
Mostly didn't do.
Gardner Minshew, 25 of 42. Hey, that's eerily similar. For 230 yards, a touchdown and a pick, sacked 3 times for 12 yards. Desmond Ridder, 5 of 10 for 64 yards, and sacked twice for 16 yards. AJ Cole, 1 of 1 for 34 yards. Oh, that's a nice name. Rushing, Sincere McCormick.
Sincere, nice.
Yeah, I like that. 5 rushes for 33 yards. Amir Abdullah, 8 for 28. Gardner Minshew, 2 for 5. Desmond Ritter, 1 for 3. Do you notice who's not on here?
I wonder who it could be.
There's 2 people.
There's actually 2 people. Wait a minute. My brain fried for a second there.
One of them is a former Vikings.
Medicine's not on there. Yeah, Medicine's not on there.
The other one is Zamir White, who was supposed to take over when Jacobs left.
Yeah, what the fuck happened to Zamir White?
I don't know. Apparently he hasn't been playing well.
Oh.
So now Sincere McCormick and Amir Abdullah are going to be your running backs. And both of them did better than Zamir's been doing.
Isn't Madison injured too?
I don't know, and I don't care. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be mean.
No, that's fair.
Receiving, Jacoby Myers, 10 receptions for 121 yards. Look, he's like the only guy on that team still really trying.
No, there's 2. There's one other there that you forgot.
Oh yeah, Brock Bowers, but he only had 4 for 38.
Yeah, this game he was a little quieter, but it's those 2, and that's pretty much it.
Trey Tucker, 7 for 82. Amir Abdullah, 5 for 37. Divine Diablo, 1 for 34.
Good name.
That was because AJ Cole is the punter, and that was a fake punt. AJ Cole hit Divine Diablo for 34 yards.
Still a great name.
Michael Mayer, 2 for... I love it. Michael Mayer, 2 for 11, and DJ Turner, 2 for 5. Desmond Ritter fumbled and lost it. Gardner Minshew fumbled but recovered. DeCamarion Richardson, 8 total tackles, 5 of them were solo. Sacks came by Tyree Wilson, who had his first sack of the season. That's the only sack they had. Dylan Laube did take a kick return, 59 yards. DJ Turner had 2 punt returns for a total of 14 yards with a long of 8. Daniel Carlson went 4 of 4 on field goals for a long of 53 with 1 for 1 on extra points. So they kind of matched Denver's energy for a bit, but the one thing they couldn't do was avoid turning the ball over. And that's what killed them. Denver did not make the turn the ball over mistakes, and that was not to be said the same for Vegas, which is why they lost. All right. That's all I got to say about that, unless you have anything else you want to say.
I didn't really watch a lot of that one, so I don't really have a lot to say.
Yeah, I watched a highlights version of it. Yeah. All right, your turn.
All right. Pull back my phone. I was scratching the bird, and now he's all upset at me. How dare you not scratch me?
Poor birdie.
Yep. Now he's doing his stretches. Stretch. All right, so we have Minnesota at Chicago. Minnesota wins 30-27 in OT.
We both picked the Vikings. We were both barely correct.
Hey, I'll take it. You know what? The resiliency to win this game, I give credit to Sam Darnold. He did not give up, and that was very, very good to see, actually. He refused to give up, and he had a great OT drive. All right, let's look at stats. We'll start with the Vikings. Sam Darnold, 22 of 34, 330 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. I don't care what anyone says. I think that's some damn good stats to me. Nick Mullins, 1 for 1 for 14 yards. Only threw it once. By the way, in case you didn't see it, there was apparently when Sam Darnold went to the sideline, because what happened is he ended up with an ankle injury, or a foot injury, ankle. He went to the sideline, and apparently Kevin O'Connell came over and started talking to him and went on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? Are you at a 6? Sam Darnold gave him a thumbs up. He goes, are you at an 8? Sam Darnold gave him a thumbs up. He goes, is there anything else I should know? And he goes, stop asking. And apparently Sam told KOC, stop asking me questions. Basically, if you don't want to know the answer, just put me in. I can finish the game.
I fucking love it. Adrenaline's a hell of a drug.
Yeah, apparently Sam was in a pretty decent amount of pain, but he confirmed, he told straight up, he's like, listen, I'm in pain, but I can finish. Just let me finish. So big props to Sam. I love to see that. It shows that he's willing to put his body a little bit on the line there, and it's something that a lot of people want to see. That toughness, right?
Yeah,
and he's
and
shown
I
it.
like that from him.
Now let's look at rushing. Aaron Jones, 22 rushing attempts for 106 yards and 1 touchdown.
Yay!
Good job, Aaron Jones. Cam Akers, 3 for 19, which is not bad either. Receiving, Aaron Jones, 3 for 23. Sorry. Jordan Addison, 8 receptions for 162 yards and 1 touchdown. Justin Jefferson, 2 receptions for 27 yards. And TJ Hawkinson, 7 for 114 yards. So it was basically the Addison Hawkinson show. Oh, and Jalen Naylor had 1 reception for 5 yards and a touchdown.
Yes.
So there's the. Aaron Jones did fumble and lose the ball right towards the beginning of the game on the goal line.
On the goal line. And then I was like, I looked at my wife. Here's the funny part about that. I looked at my wife and I said, hey, at least it's on like the 2-yard line. There's a good chance we get a safety. And then they went 98 yards for a touchdown, and I was a little bit pissed off.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I think that's when I sent you the text of like, I can't do this with this team anymore.
Still found a way to win because that's apparently what we are this year.
Heart attacks.
We're the resilient team. The resilient team that somehow finds ways to win.
Heart attacks, man.
Wasn't there also a? Who was it? There was a. I don't think it was the. It wasn't the Bears. There was a. Was it the Tex? I think it was the Texans. Never mind. We'll get to that later then. There was another safety this week.
Ah.
And it was another very funny Orlovsky safety, if you know what I mean.
Yeesh.
You know what I mean. Some people might not. Interceptions.
Where's the back of the end zone? I don't know.
No interceptions for Minnesota. Defense, Andrew Van Ginkel with a sack, of course. Jonathan Greenard with 2 sacks. Hell yeah. Let's go. Kicking. John Parker Romo. 3 for 3 for a long of 40 and 3 for 3 on extra points. You know what? For a secondary kicker, he's doing a hell of a job.
And he hit the winning field goal. So I'm also going to say in overtime, when we got down as far as we did, because Hawk got loose, and then they missed him, and he managed to get a ball way down there, I literally just started going, kick it! Kick it! Don't even go for the end zone. Don't risk the turnover. Just kick the ball, let's go home.
I was doing the same thing, except for I saw him line up, and I went... When he lined up, I was like, okay, he's probably just going to drop so that he can field the ball in a position for this kicker, right? That's what they're doing.
That's exactly what they did, yeah.
That's what they did. I went, oh, thank God.
Thank God. And then they kicked the field goal and went home. And I was like, oh, thank God.
Yep. Thank God. We don't need to show off today, please.
Please.
Kickoff return by Ty Chandler. He had 2 receptions for 32 yards, for a long of 32. And Brendan Powell did the punt returns. He had 5 punt returns for a long of 13. Let's go over and look over at Chicago's stats because, frankly, they play pretty well, to be honest with you. Which is funny because, like, as much as it's like, oh, we played the Bears so close, they should have been that close. To be fair, Green Bay also played the Bears really close too. So I think the Bears are just getting better and better each week, and we're just seeing that happen. And so I think next year is going to be potentially dangerous, but we'll see. With that said, let's look at the stats. We have Caleb Williams, 32 of 47, 340 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Caleb Williams also had 6 rushing attempts for 33 yards. DeAndre Swift had 13 rushing attempts for 30 yards. And that's and Roschon Johnson had 2 rushing attempts for 2 yards and a touchdown. Cole Kmet had 7 receptions for 64 yards. DeAndre Swift had 3 receptions for 35 yards. DJ Moore had 7 receptions for 106 yards and 1 touchdown. Keenan Allen had 9 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown. And Roma Odunze had 5 for 39. DeAndre Carter did fumble and lose the ball. Keenan Allen fumbled but did not lose the ball. No interceptions for Chicago. DeMarcus Walker had a sack. Jacob Martin had a sack. Montez Sweat had a sack for a total of 3 sacks on the night, so we need to work a little bit on that O-line. Kicking, we have Cairo Santos, 2 for 3 for 49 yards, for a long of 49, and 1 for 1 on extra points. Kickoff returns were done by DeAndre Carter. He had 1 reception for 55 yards. And he also did their punt returns. He had 2 for a long of 5. So yeah, we played the Bears really close. I think the Bears are getting better than people expect. I think they've been playing very well and losing close games because, again, remember, they played Green Bay earlier and barely lost that game too. So I think the Bears are actually starting to come alive as a dangerous team. I think the problem for them is it's just
offensive coordinator.
Yep, I think the problem is just simply down to the fact that it's too little, too late for them. But next year, I think it's going to be really dangerous.
I agree, 100%. All right,
that's all I got.
All righty, I'm going to talk about a different NFC North team this week.
Yeah,
let's talk Lions at Colts.
Should we?
I mean, there's not much to talk about, but it's interesting.
Is it?
Kind of. Because
it went exactly how most of us expected.
But it did, but that's because Jahmyr Gibbs helped me win my fantasy game this week.
Fair. That's fair.
All right. As we were alluding to, Detroit did go to Indianapolis and walk out with a 24-6 win. They have now won 9 in a row.
Honestly, I'm a little shocked it wasn't more blown out than it was.
Well, I will say that Jared Goff didn't throw for a touchdown.
No. I was expecting a larger blowout. That's what I mean.
I was too, but like Dan Campbell was like, I don't hate you enough.
Pretty much. We hated the Cowboys. We don't hate you.
Let's talk about it. Jared Goff, 26 of 36 for 269 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, sacked 3 times. Jahmyr Gibbs, 21 carries, 90 yards, 2 touchdowns. Montgomery, 8 carries, 37 yards, 1 touchdown. Jesus, are those two just disastrous for other teams. If one of them doesn't go off, the other's going to.
Mm-hmm.
Craig Reynolds, 1 for 6. Jameson Williams, 1 for 4. Gibbs, Goff, 2 for 0. Receiving, Jameson Williams, 5 for 64 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6 for 62 yards. Tim Patrick, 4 for 55. Montgomery, 3 for 36. Brock Wright, 2 for 24. Laporta, 3 for 19. Gibbs, 3 for 9. Khalif Raymond did not haul in his only target. Goff did fumble, but it was recovered by Montgomery. Defensively, Jack Campbell had 9 total tackles, 5 of them solo, and Malcolm Rodriguez had 8 and 7 solo. They did not record a sack or an interception or have any kick returns. Khalif Raymond returned 2 punts for 30 yards with a long of 16, and Amon-Ra St. Brown returned 2 for 15 yards with a long of 8. Jake Bates was 1 for 1 on his field goals for a long of 56, and 3 for 3 on his extra points. So how did the Colts only get 6 points? By the way, we both picked the Lions, and duh. Richardson, 11 of 28 for 172 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. You had a great game last week, and this week you crapped the bed. I don't know what else to say, dude. You're below 50%. You did run 10 times for 61 yards. Taylor, you only ran 11 times for 35 yards. What the fuck, man?
I know. I was so pissed, dude.
Pittman Jr., 6 catches for 96 yards. Pierce, 1 for 39. Josh Downs, 3 for 27. Adonai Mitchell, 1 for 10. And then Kylan Granson, Ashton Doolin, and Drew Ogletree all failed to haul in targets. Taylor did fumble, but Richardson recovered that, and Richardson also recovered his own fumble when he would fumble later on. So, bully for that. Nick Cross, again, a name we keep saying, 14 total tackles, 6 of them were solo. Sacks came from Zaire Franklin, DeForest Buckner, and Liatu Latu. They did not have any interceptions, as we mentioned earlier. Kick returns, Tyler Goodson took 1 for 25 yards. Downs took 2 punts for 4 yards, not worth talking about. Well, one of them was for 6, so he lost yardage on the other one. Matt Gay, 2 for 2 on 2 for 2 on field goals with a long of 29. No extra points. That game went exactly as everybody expected it was going to, which was Detroit spanking the crap out of the Colts. Nothing else to say here. Except, thank you, Jameer. Your turn.
Okay. Let's talk about a really fun game.
Ooh.
In my opinion, anyways. I think it was fun to watch. I'm sure there were others who did not enjoy it, but I thought it was hilarious. So let's talk about the Chiefs at Carolina, shall we?
Hey.
Chiefs did end up winning 30-27.
We both picked the Chiefs.
And they barely won. Let's look at stats. We'll start with the Chiefs, obviously. Patrick Mahomes, 27 of 37, 269 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks. Rushing, Kareem Hunt, 16 for 68. Patrick Mahomes, 5 for 60. And that's it. Receiving, we have DeAndre Hopkins, 5 for 35 and a touchdown. Noah Gray, 4 for 66 and 2 touchdowns. And Travis Kelce, 6 for 62. Xavier Worthy, 4 for 46. It looks like that's pretty much the main ones. Patrick Mahomes did fumble, but did not lose the ball. No interceptions. Michael Dana had a sack. Nick Bolton had half a sack, and Trent McDuffie had a half sack for a total of 2 sacks on the night. Spencer Schrader was their kicker for this evening, and he went 3 for 3 for a long of 41 and 3 for 3 on extra points. Kickoff returns, Mecole Hardman had 1 for 28 yards, and Samaje Perine had 3 kickoff returns for a long of 56. And punt returns were done by Mecole Hardman. He had 2 for a long of 0 yards. Didn't get much on punts. Alright, let's go over and look at the Panthers, because I'm shocked that they even did anything, but it's kind of interesting, so let's talk about it. Bryce Young, 21 of 35, 263 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. I don't know how benching him for like 2 or 3 games made him really good, but apparently I don't know if it lit a fire under his ass or what, but he's been playing a lot better ever since he came back from the bench. I don't know what's going on, but he's playing a lot better. Rushing, Bryce Young, 3 for 20. Chuba Hubbard, 16 for 58 and 1 touchdown. Receiving, we have Adam Thielen, 3 for 57. David Moore, 6 for 81 and a touchdown. Jatavian Sanders, 3 for 49. Didn't he get injured? There was a player who got injured, got dumped straight on his head.
But that's because the total illegal tackle went low trying to...
No, it was a good tackle, yeah. But he was trying to jump over him, and then he landed straight on top of his head and got carted off the field.
Like straight up and down, too, like an arrow.
Yeah.
It was so
I think that was Jatavian Sanders. I'm pretty sure
Might
that
have
was
been. I don't remember. But I remember seeing it, and people were like, oh, that's a bad hit. And I was like, no. That's a clean-ass tackle. Just... No.
The receiver was trying to jump the guy, and he did, but then he just landed very poorly.
Yes.
I thought that was Jatavian Sanders, but I don't want to 100% confirm that, but I thought it was him. Xavier Leggett, 4 for 56 words. Fumbles, Bryce Young did fumble, but did not lose it. No interceptions. DJ Wanham, 1 sack. Deshaun Williams, half a sack. Jadeveon Clowney, 1.5 sacks. Josie Joel, 1 sack, for a total of 5 sacks on the night. That's... You know what? That's actually a little shocking. That's probably one of the reasons why they were even in this game, is that they were sacking Mahomes.
Yes.
Punting. Nope, we're going on to kicking. Eddie Pinheiro, 4 for 4 for a long of 33 and 1 for 1 on extra points. No kickoff returns. And Raheem Blackshear had 1 punt return for 10 yards.
That and Bryce Young didn't look totally like ass.
No, that's what I was trying to saying earlier. Is that like Bryce Young, ever since he's come off the bench, has been looking better. I don't know
Yes,
why 2 or 3 weeks on the bench all of a sudden made him a better player, but he has significantly been playing better.
he has. I don't know what changed. I don't know if it was watching
I
somebody
don't know
else
if
play
someone
the
changed his
game.
Wheaties or what.
I feel like just watching somebody else play the game from the
Also,
bench.
Also, I'm wondering if it's so. I don't know if you saw it, but on the sidelines they had a shot showing him. I don't know if it was this week or last week. I think it was this week, where they had done a 3-and-out on the Chiefs, and he got off the bench and he looked ecstatic and happy. He was grabbing his helmet. You could tell he was just like almost like a little kid. Like he was like, "Hell yeah, I get to go back out and play." I'm wondering if part of the reason he's playing better is he's just enjoying playing again.
Yeah.
Like he's not worried about the stress anymore. He's just playing football to play football.
I think maybe talking to Dalton about that has changed his perspective on it. Just go out there and play football. Enjoy. Have fun. Who cares if you win or lose?
Yeah.
You get to play, like, there was a Major League 2, the movie. There's a scene in there when they have a big blowout and fight in the clubhouse, and one of the guys says, "Look, guys, I don't know about any of the rest of you, but I'm going to go back out and play ball because we get to play ball for a living. And I don't know about anybody else, but my dad said I would wind up, well, he never really came up with anything, but a day of playing ball is better than anything else we can do."
Pretty much.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm thinking that a combination of all those factors is made him realize to not take the idea of basically taking the world on his shoulders, or at least the franchise on his shoulders. I think he's finally realized that, okay, I just need to settle down, do what I do, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, I'll find another job probably somewhere else. It's okay.
Yes, it's all right.
So I think him not having that stress and worrying about it is probably a big thing. I don't know if that's 100% why, but I'm sure it's a factor at least.
I can agree with that. All right, you got anything else on that game?
Nope, that's it.
All right. I'm going to talk about a game that I know you don't want to talk about because it involves a team you don't want to talk about.
Now, there's at least 2 or 3 of those.
We're going to talk about San Francisco at Green Bay.
That's fair. And they won, and I don't want to talk about that.
Huh?
And they won, so I really don't want to talk about that.
Exactly. I'll swallow the bitter
pill.
Even
though I'm pretty sure I picked them to win.
You did. I picked the Niners. You picked the Packers. I did not know that Brock Purdy was not going to play until after I picked the Niners.
Yeah. Once I saw that happen, I was like, ooh.
I think I said the same thing. Was like, I think I'm going to lose that this week. And I was correct. I did lose that this week. Final score, Green Bay 38, San Francisco 10.
That was bad.
It was a bad game.
Now, granted, injuries. Lots of them.
It was more than that.
No, I know, but I'm just saying in general, the 49ers are so bad.
For some reason, the 49ers had grease on their hands this week.
Yeah, they couldn't catch a football.
Not that they couldn't catch it. They couldn't hold on to the damn thing.
Also, I'll add something to the end of this that I want to say afterwards. I don't know if you saw the play, but it was Debo related, and that fucker needs to be reamed out for what he did.
I did not watch the game, so you will have to add context.
I will. I'll add context at the end when you're done with stats.
I'm not sure what you're referring to. I don't know if Debo is the at-fault party or if one of the...
100% is.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of people saying that they should move on from him anyway.
Especially after this event, I'll tell you, you'll probably be like, ooh.
All right. Brandon Allen steps into quarterback. I had to look up who he even was.
Backup for...
Burrow.
Which team did he come from? Burrow, yep.
Yep.
I was going to say, I knew he was a backup. I forgot for where.
Backup to Burrow, and then he also played in Denver for a season.
Yeah, that's right.
And he was drafted a couple of seasons before that by Jacksonville in the 6th round.
He's been a perennial backup, and not a horrible one, just a backup.
Went 17 of 29 for 199 yards, a touchdown and a pick. Got sacked twice for 2 yards.
Sounds about right.
CMC, 11 carries, 31 yards. That is no bueno.
He did basically nothing, yeah.
Jordan Mason, 3 for 8. Brandon Allen, 2 for 5. George Kittle, 6 for 82 and a touchdown.
Woo!
He tried. Juwan Jennings, 5 for 40. Christian McCaffrey, 3 for 37. That's not horrible for a running back out of the backfield. You expect more from CMC, but also he's not playing with a starter. He's playing with a backup. Debo, 1 for 21. Kyle Juszczyk, 1 for 14. Jordan Mason, 1 for 5. And then Chris Conley and Eric Saubert did not haul in their targets. Here's where I think the game turned. Fumbles. Brandon Allen fumbled twice, lost one, recovered one. Christian McCaffrey fumbled once, lost it. Jordan Mason fumbled. Isaac Guerrero fumbled. Chris Conley and Ben Barch both recovered fumbles. Whew. Let's see here. Leading the way on defense, Isaac Yiadom. 9 total, 6 solo. Leonard Floyd had 2 sacks. And that was it. They did not have a pick. Debo had 2 kick returns for 52 yards with a log of 26. Jordan Mason had a kick return for 29 yards. And Guerrero had a kick return for 22 yards. Ricky Pearsall, 3 punt returns for 41 yards with a long of 20. Jake Moody went 1 for 1 on field goals for a long of 48 and 1 for 1 on extra points. Packers. Jordan Love, 13 of 23, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns, sacked twice. Josh Jacobs, 26 for 106 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also helped lead my team to victory this week. It was basically Lamar, Jameer, and Josh. I got over 20 points from each of them. Everybody else got me single digits. Emmanuel Wilson, 9 for 41. Chris Brooks, 4 for 11. Bo Melton, 1 for 5. Christian Watson, 1 for 4. Jordan Love, 1 for 2. Receiving, Romeo Doubs, 3 for 54. Tucker Kraft, 2 for 26 and a touchdown. Jaden Reed, 3 for 26. Dontavian Wicks, 1 for 25. Malik Heath, 2 for 15 and a touchdown. Chris Brooks, 1 for 15. And John Fitzpatrick, 1 for 2. Josh Jacobs, Christian Watson, and Bo Melton did not haul in any of their targets. Both Kenny Clark and Carl Brooks recovered fumbles. Defensively, Quay Walker, 7 total tackles, 6 solo, and Javon Bullard, 7 total, 6 solo. Interceptions from sacks. Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary both had sacks. Xavier McKinney had an interception. Yeah. Corey Ballantyne had 1 kick return for 21 yards. Jaden Reed had 2 punt returns for a total of 20 yards with a long of 13. Brandon McManus hit a field goal of 51 yards and was 5 for 5 on extra points. Please add in your I Hate Debo story.
So, what happened is... I don't remember exactly which quarter it was in. I don't remember I think it was probably after the first half, but I can't remember 100%. But I can understand being frustrated that the game's not going well. I can understand being mad that things aren't going your way and that you're not getting the ball, right? But I think the last thing you should do is come up to 2 of your own offensive linemen, start screaming in their faces, and grab one of them by the throat. You garbage fucking human. I don't care if you're mad or angry that you basically assaulted one of your own teammates. What the fuck is wrong with you? And at that point, he hadn't even recorded that reception. You're gonna blame your offensive lineman when you haven't done jack shit either? Fuck off! Okay, I'm done now.
Okay. You feel better?
I do, but I think you can also understand why that's like a pretty shitty thing to do.
Yeah, we've been saying they need to move on from CMC now because he's older, and getting injured a lot.
Yeah.
Debo is also injured a lot and costs a lot of money, and now he's just kind of being a liability.
I was gonna say he's had attitude issues for the last couple of years. It's only been getting worse. It's time to let him go. He's got an attitude problem.
It's time to trade him. Keep the guy that you. Who was it that they just re-signed?
Um,
Who's the other one? Because it's Debo and someone else.
Yeah, it was Ayuk, Brandon Ayuk. Ayuk's has unfortunately been a little quiet this year, but he's traditionally been very good.
Yeah, keep Ayuk, get rid of Samuel.
Yep, and Jordan Mason has overall been fairly good. I don't know if you want to rely on him as an only back, but pick up another back, move on for CMC would make sense as well.
Yep. All right, your turn.
All right, let me see which game I want to address now. Let's address. You know what? We'll address this game because I know you don't want to talk about it, and I'm more than willing to talk about it because there was one play in here that was really fun to watch. So, let's talk Dallas at Washington.
Knew that's what you were talking about. I hate talking about Dallas.
I know you do. Dallas did unfortunately win.
Are you going to talk about the Turpin thing? Is that the play that you thought was funny?
Oh yeah, come on, that was a great play. You know it was.
I'm not mad at it. That was pretty good when you botch the return, botch the catch, and it's still
perform a fucking video game move.
So you can go ahead and talk about that. I'm very happy to let you.
All right, Dallas did win 34-26. Let's look at stats. Cooper Rush, 24 of 32, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Surprisingly, a decent game from him, actually. Rushing, we did have Rico Dowdle, 19 for 86. Pretty much the only person that did anything on the ground. Did okay. I wouldn't say you want to rely on that, but not a bad game for him. Receiving, we have CD Lamb, 10 for 67. Jalen Brooks, 1 for 41. Jalen Tolbert, 2 for 22 and a touchdown. Jonathan Mingo had 1 for 8. Luke Shoemaker had 3 for 55 and 1 touchdown. And Rico Dowdle had 3 for 12. Cooper Beebe and Cooper Rush each fumbled the ball but did not lose it, which is good. Rico Dowdle did fumble the ball and lose it, unfortunately. Chauncey Golston had an interception, and Israel Mukuamu? 1 interception. I think that's close. Defensively line, DeMarvion Overshone, 1 sack. Josh Butler, 1 sack. And Micah Parsons, 2 sacks, which, I mean, that sounds about right. He's been a little quiet this year, but that's a good game. Kicking, Brandon Aubrey, 2 for 4 on field goals for a long of 48 and 4 for 4 on extra points. Kickoff returns, we have Joanna Thomas had 1 reception for 43 yards and a touchdown. And then Kevontae Turpin had 4 receptions for 1 touchdown and a long of 99. And it was spectacular. If you haven't watched it, you absolutely need to watch it. He gets the kick. He tries to recover the kick through his legs, misses the catch. It goes through his legs. He has to reach back with one hand to grab it on the goal line, and then starts running, stops, does a dead stop turn, jukes 3 players doing it, and
he literally does the Madden spin move.
Yeah, he literally did a Madden spin move dead still, and juked 3 players doing it, and then ran it all the way down for a touchdown. Granted, dude's fast as fuck, but that spin move was nasty and shouldn't have worked. I don't know how they fell for it, but it was great. He also did their punt returns, but did not return for any yardage. Overall, Dallas did 1, but let's be honest, 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. They don't get those, they lose this game, like straight up.
One of them was the onside kick they returned for a touchdown.
Yeah, one of them was the onside kick for a touchdown, which
was
was
hilarious.
That was more just extra icing more than anything else. They didn't.
By
They
that
didn't need
point,
that one.
yes.
They didn't need that one, but it was still funny.
We missed talking about it in the Minnesota game. The first onside kick recovery under the new rules happened in Minnesota this week.
Yeah, the Bears did recover their onside
kick.
Which pissed me off!
And that happened after they upped the that punt return where it hit the return man in the leg.
In the leg, yep.
Bounced on the ground, hit him in the leg, became a live ball, and the Vikings recovered it.
Can't win, man. Can't win. All right, let's talk about the Washington Commanders and their stats. Jaden Daniels did not have a fantastic game. 25 of 38, 275 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks.
I do think he's playing hurt.
Is he?
I think he is. I can't prove it, but he had that thing where he was hurt the ribs, and I don't think he's fully healed. I don't think he's fully healed from that because he hasn't looked the same since.
That's possible. Let's look at rushing. We have Austin Eckler, 9 for 22. Brian Robinson, 5 for 13. He didn't get more touches because he did, in fact, get hurt. Jaden Daniels, 7 for 74 and 1 touchdown. Jeremy Nichols, 3 for 22. Receiving, we have Brian Robinson, 1 for 11. De'Ami Brown, 2 for 22. Noah Brown, 6 for 71. Terry McLaurin, 5 for 102 and a touchdown. Zach Ertz, 6 for... Terry. Zach Ertz, 6 for 38 and a touchdown. Austin Eckler did fumble the ball but did not lose it. John Bates fumbled the ball and did lose it. No interceptions for Washington. Darren Payne had 1 sack and the only sack on the night for Washington. Austin Siebert was 2 for 3 on field goals for a long of 51. Missed both extra points. Which is funny because there was a chance where they would have actually, I think it would have tied up the game if they would have made that one extra point.
The one at the right before the onside kick, if they'd hit that, it ties the game. And they don't have to onside kick it, they could just kick it off.
Yep. But no, missed it. Fucking hell. God damn it, Austin Siebert. And up until that point too, I think he missed both extra points, but I think up until that point he hadn't missed a single one.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh man, this is a bad game to be having that happen.
Yup.
Austin Eckler was their kickoff returner. He had 3 for a long of 38, and Olamide Zaccheaus was their punt returner. He had 1 for 19. Overall, Washington did try to keep themselves in the game. Unfortunately, those interceptions and those nice extra points, they just couldn't somehow outpace the Cowboys, which feels weird to say.
Yep.
I got nothing else. You go.
Alrighty. I'm going to talk about this game, I don't know what to... It was, at the very least, fun for one team.
There's at least 2 more of those on here, as far as I can tell.
We're going to talk about the Patriots and the Dolphins.
Okay. Fair enough.
It
was definitely fun for the Dolphins.
Definitely fun for the Dolphins. Definitely fun for Jalen Waddle and Tua Tagovailoa. Not so fun for the Patriots, though. Final score, 15-34. The Dolphins win. We both picked the Dolphins. We both win. Let's talk about it. Drake May, 22 of 37, 222 yards, a touchdown, a pick, sacked 4 times for 39 yards. Kendrick Bourne also attempted a pass, but that didn't go anywhere. Rushing, Antonio Gibson, 6 for 31. Drake May, 5 for 26. JaMychal Hasty, 1 for 15. Ramondre Stevenson, 8 for 13. He's been so weird this year because he's either been absolutely bonkers or absolutely worthless. And Demario Douglas, 1 for 1. Demario Douglas did catch 5 passes for 62 yards. Austin Hooper caught 4 for 59 and a touchdown. Hunter Henry, 5 for 44. Kendrick Bourne, 3 for 30. Antonio Gibson, 1 for 14. Jalen Polk, 1 for 7. Kayshon Boutte, 1 for 6. JaMychal Hasty, 2 for 0, and Stevenson and Baker both failed to pull in their targets. Drake May fumbled and lost the fumble. Christian Gonzalez recovered a fumble. Marcus Jones, 8 total tackles, 8 solo tackles. All of them were solo. Christian Barrymore with a sack. Brendan Schooler with a sack. They did not have any interceptions. They did not have any kick returns. Marcus Jones had 3 punt returns for 38 yards with a long of 20. Joey Sly missed a field goal but was 1 of 1 on extra points. So yeah, that's kind of like a crap game from the Patriots. Let's talk about the Dolphins. Because Tua went 29 of 40 for 317 yards and 4 touchdowns. He was sacked twice for 9 yards. A-Chain, 10 carries, 32 yards. Jalen Wright, 7 for 28. Raheem Mostert, 2 for 5. Malik Washington, 1 for 2. Jonnu Smith, 1 for none. Tua, 3 for -2. Jalen Waddle, 8 receptions, 144 yards, and a touchdown. Wow. Jonnu Smith, 9 for 87, and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 5 for 48. Not having a very good year this year. It's kind of a down year for Tyreek. But he is playing with a torn ligament in his wrist, so not going to be too mad at him for that. Devon Achane, 3 for 24 and 2 touchdowns. Durham Smythe, 1 for 8. Julian Hill, 1 for 8. Malik Washington, 1 for 1. OBJ did not haul in a single target, nor did Jalen Wright. Raheem Mostert caught 1 for -3. Jalen Wright did fumble and lose the fumble. Jordan Brooks recovered a fumble. Jordan Brooks leads the way on defense with 9 total tackles, 7 of them solo. Sacks go to Jalen Ramsey, Zach Sealer, each with 1 sack. Chop Robinson with a sack and a half. Emmanuel Ogba also combined with Chop for a half a sack. Tyrell Dodson had a pick. Malik Washington they did not have any kick returns. Malik Washington had 2 punt returns for 15 yards with a long of 13. Jason Sanders, 2 of 2 on field goals, long of 51, and 4 of 4 on his extra points. So yeah, Miami had a fun day. Tua had a fun day. Waddle had a fun day. Chop Robinson had a blast. The Patriots didn't. Your turn.
Alrighty then. Let's talk about. Yeah, how many games we got? 1, 2, 3 regular games. It looks like.
Yeah.
And then the night game and then the Monday game. Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about another interesting game that, frankly, I don't think either one of us expected this. So, we'll talk about Tennessee at Houston.
That's what I figured you might be talking about when you said that.
Tennessee won 32-27.
We both picked Texas. We both picked Houston to win that.
Yep, I was going to say, I'm pretty positive neither one of us thought the Titans had a chance in this.
No, we did not.
So let's talk about it. Let's look at the stats. We'll start with the Mayo Man. Will Levis, 18 for 24. 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. Overall, not a bad game from him, actually.
He failed to do anything ridiculously stupid.
Yeah. He had 1 pick, and you know what? When he threw that pick, I'll give full credit to him. There was no chance he was ever going to sack the guy or ever tackle the guy and prevent the pick 6 that was coming. He wasn't going to.
No.
But boy, did he put down his head and tried to run as hard as he could to do it.
Yes.
I give credit. He didn't give up on the play. I'll give credit. Give him credit where it's deserved.
He's
rushing,
getting better.
He's getting better. Rushing, Tony, which, it's funny when they drafted him, we all said that that's probably what was going to take time, is that he probably shouldn't start right away and should sit. They started him anyways, and we all said it's going to take time before he starts looking good. It's starting to get better. We'll see if that holds true for a long time or not, but he's looking decent, actually. Anyways, rushing, Tony Pollard had a fantastic game. 24 rushing attempts for 119 yards and a touchdown. I mean, I don't know if you can ask for much more from that from your rushing guy. So, I mean, that's pretty decent compared to what he's been recently putting up for numbers. Receiving, Calvin Ridley 5 for 93, Chig Okonkwo 1 for 70, and a touchdown. And it was such a beautiful touchdown. Right down the middle. There was no defenders anywhere around him, and he took off like a lightning bolt. He's a tight end, but he's fucking fast. Nick Westbrook Ikine, 2 receptions for 48 touchdowns, Jesus Christ, for 48 yards and 1 touchdown. Tony Pollard, 3 for 10 yards, and Tyler Boyd, 6 for 55. Fumbling, Jaquan Jackson fumbled the ball and lost it. Will Levis fumbled the ball and lost it. Shocking. They did have some interceptions, though. Jarvis Brownlee Jr. had an interception, and Kenneth Murray Jr. had an interception as well. The 2 juniors getting interceptions. Defensively, Ali Gay had a sack. I'm sorry for your last name. Harold Landry had a sack. Jeffrey Simmons had a sack. Tavondre Sweat had a sack for a total of 4 sacks on the night. That's pretty good, actually. Kicking, we have Nick Folk, 3 for 3 for a long of 56 and 3 for 3 on extra points. Kickoff returns, we have Julius Chestnut, 3 kickoff returns for 39 yards. And Jaquan Jackson had 3 punt returns for a long of 2 yards. Not much going on there. Let's go talk about the Texans. Texans, CJ Stroud, 20 of 33, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. And a safety where he ran out the back of the end zone. Oopsies.
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 Oopsie poopsie.
Rushing. Rushing. CJ Stroud, 3 for 18 yards. Joe Mixon, 14 for 22 yards. That ain't good enough, Joe. That ain't good enough.
No go, Joe.
Because you're clearly getting touches. You ain't getting the yards. Don't know what happened in that game, but it wasn't. You weren't feeling it that game for some reason. All right, receiving. Cade Stover, 3 receptions for 26 yards and a touchdown. Joe Mixon, 5 receptions for 23 yards. Nico Collins, 5 receptions for 92 yards and a touchdown. Well done. Tank Dell, 3 receptions for 72 yards. Nice. No fumbles. Jimmy Ward had an interception. Aziz Al-Shahir had 1 sack. Daniil Hunter coming up big for him, 3 sacks. Derek Barnett had 1 sack. Tommy Togel had 1 sack. Or Togai, sorry. I forgot that's an I. No. Will Anderson Jr. also had 2 sacks for a total of 8 sacks on the night. They sacked Levis 8 times and still lost. That's crazy. Kicking. Kaimi Fairbairn, 2 for 3 for a long of 54 and 3 for 3 on extra points. Receiving, Damon Pierce had 3 kickoff returns for 45 yards and for an average of 45 yards with a long of 80. Apologies. And Dare Ogunbole had 1 kickoff return for 12 yards. Punt return was done by Robert Woods. He had 5 punt returns for 16 yards long. Yeah, I mean, this is one of those games where it was just a ridiculous slap fest, basically. I don't know a better way to term it. It was a ridiculous game to watch. Neither team had any defense to talk about, and yet they did at the same time. Like, they were getting sacks and stuff, but the offenses were just outperforming the defenses on both sides of the ball. It was weird. It was a comedy of errors over and over again. I don't know a better way to put it, but it just seemed like both teams just kept making massive errors over and over again, and I guess Tennessee ended up winning because the Texans couldn't figure out how to win the game. I don't know. I don't know how to tell. I don't even know how Tennessee wins, even look at the stats. It's bizarre. It's weird. It happens, and I'm very confused.
Alrighty. I'm going to talk Arizona at Seattle. Um, this was an interesting game. Um, and it had a fun moment in it.
Okay.
So, Cardinals lose. You would pick the Cardinals. I picked the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Final score 16-6. So I'm going to take the win on the W there. Let's get into these stats. Kyler, 24 of 37 for 285 yards and an interception. Sacked 5 times for 36 yards. Rushing, Trey Benson, 4 for 18. Emari DiMercado, 1 for 14. Kyler Murray, 2 for 9. James Conner, 7 for 8. Receiving, Trey McBride, 12 for 133 yards. Michael Wilson, 2 for 54. Marvin Harrison Jr., 3 for 47. James Conner, 5 for 41. Greg Dortch, 1 for 5. Elijah Higgins, 1 for 5. They did not have any fumbles, nor did they recover any. Defensively, Darian Taylor Demerson, 9 total tackles, 6 of them solo. Sacks go to Budda Baker, Zaven Collins, Jesse Lukita, and Dante Stills and LJ Collier for a total of 5 sacks of their own. Each of them had a sack. They did have 1 interception. Garrett Williams, congratulations. Kick returns, DJ Dallas took 2 for 60 yards with a long of 35. Greg Dortch took 1 for 19. Punt returns, Dortch took 1 for 0 yards. Kicking, Chad Ryland, 2 of 3 for a long of 35 yards. Seattle, Geno Smith, 22 of 31, 254 yards, a touchdown and a pick, 5 sacks, 34 yards. Rushing, Kenneth Walker III, 16 carries, 41 yards. Zach Charbonnet, 6 for 22. Smith, 3 for 2. Receiving, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 6 for 77 yards and a touchdown. DK Metcalf, 4 for 59. One of those was a literal sandwich, and he still managed to catch it and come down with it. I was like, holy crap. Kenneth Walker III, 4 for 52. Tyler Lockett, 2 for 20. Farrell Brown, 2 for 19. AJ Barner, 3 for 19. And Jake Bobo, 1 for 8. I love that name. Fumbles. Geno Smith did fumble, but he recovered his own fumble. Defensively, Ernest Jones IV led the way with 10 total tackles, 5 of them solo. Tyrese Knight had a sack. Leonard Williams had 2.5 sacks. Jaron Reed helped with the other half a sack. And Boye Mafe had a sack. Then, one of their defensive backs, a gentleman by the name of Kobe Bryant, displaying his own Mamba mentality, had a pick for 69 yards and a touchdown. And going into the end zone, he emulated the Beastquake, diving in backwards. Also, I love that his name is Kobe Bryant and I can use the Mamba mentality joke. Kick returns. Kenny McIntosh, 1 for 20 yards. D. Williams had a punt return for 9 yards. Kicking, Jason Myers was 1 for 1 from 50 yards for his field goals and 1 for 2 on extra points. So again, Arizona loses, Seattle wins. They are both 6-5, but since Seattle now holds, I believe, the tiebreaker over Arizona, they are currently in the lead in the NFC West, which they are doing with a 6-5 record. This is sad. Sad face. Your turn.
Okay. Let's take a look.
There's one more day game.
The other game. Yep, the last day game here. We have Bucks at Giants. Bucks won 30-7.
Yep.
I would call it a game, but honestly, I think one team forgot to show up.
Pretty much. We both picked the Bucks, by the way.
What a shock.
What a shock.
Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, 24 of 30, 294 yards passing, no touchdowns through the air. But he did get four attempts rushing on the ground for 29 yards and a touchdown. Jumped in and did the classic "Hey!" taunt, making fun of Tommy Cutlets. Rushing, we also have Bucky Irving, 12 for 87 yards and a touchdown. Rachaad White, 12 rushing attempts for 37 yards and a touchdown. Sean Tucker, 4 rushing attempts for 3 yards and a touchdown. Literally everyone on the rushing, I'm kidding you not, every person that rushed the ball got a touchdown. Every single one of them. That's all they did. They got no receiving touchdowns, but they got a bunch of rushing touchdowns. Receiving, we have Bucky Irving, 6 for 64, no touchdowns. Cade Otton, 1 for 30. Jalen McMillan, 1 for 11. Mike Evans, 5 for 68. Raheem Jarrett, 1 for 30. Sterling Shepard, 5 for 16. Trey Palmer, 1 for 18. Yeah, like they didn't do a lot through the air. They did a lot on the ground mostly. Fumbles, Baker Mayfield had 2 fumbles, only lost one of them. Mm-hmm. Bucky Irving had 1 fumble, no losses. Sean Tucker fumbled the ball and did not lose it as well. No interceptions. Anthony Nelson had a sack. Antonio Winfield Jr. had a sack. Kalijah Cansey had a sack. Vita Vea had a sack for 4 sacks on the night. Chase McLaughlin was their kicker. He was 1 for 1 for a long of 23 and 3 for 4 on extra points. Sean Tucker returned 1 kickoff for 6 yards, and Trey Palmer returned 1 punt for 15 yards. Let's go look at what the Giants did, or didn't do, more likely. Let's look. Giants, come on, sweep up. There we go. All right. So apparently Drew Lock was in at some point. He went 1 for 1 for 3 yards. Then Tommy DeVito was in, 21 for 31 for 189 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Rushing, Devin Singletary, 2 rushing attempts for 3 yards and a touchdown. Woo! Tommy DeVito, 7 rushing attempts for 32 yards. Tyrone Tracy Jr., 9 rushing attempts for 42 yards. And that's it. Receiving, Malik Neighbors, 6 for 64. Theo Johnson, 3 for 39. Tyrone Tracy Jr., 4 for 28. Wandale Robinson, 5 for 47. Tyrone Tracy Jr. fumbled the ball and lost it. Malik Neighbors fumbled the ball but did not lose it. No interceptions. No sacks. No field goals but did have an extra point. Amir Smith-Marset had 1 kickoff return for 33 yards and had 1 punt return for 8 yards. And that's it. It was very one-sided, very boring. It's the Tank Bowl for the Giants at this point.
Pretty much. Yeah. Alrighty. I'm going to talk the Sunday night game. Eagles at Rams. I picked the Eagles, you picked the Rams. I win 37-20. And we're going to get into why, because there's only one reason I won this game.
True.
And it wasn't Jalen Hurts who went 15 of 22 for 179 yards and a touchdown and was sacked once for 12 yards. Although, he certainly wasn't bad.
No, he didn't play bad.
However, Saquon Barkley rushed the ball 26 times for 255 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he ripped off 2 runs of over 70 yards. Yeah, it was just dumb. Jalen Hurts did rush 12 times for 39 yards, and Gainwell got in 5 for 22 and a touchdown. By the way, one of the runs that Saquon had, he stiff-armed Christian Rosenboom and threw him like a small child. It was embarrassing for Rosenboom. But I laughed. Kenny Pickett also got into the game at some point and ran 2 times for -2 yards. A.J. Brown caught the ball 6 times for 109 yards and a touchdown. Barkley, 4 for 47. Dallas Goedert, 4 for 19. Dotson, 1 for 4. And Grant Calcaterra and Johnny Wilson failed to haul in their targets. I don't know when Devonta Smith will be back, but right now, with the way Saquon's playing, they don't need him. Nakobe Dean did recover a fumble. He also had 8 total tackles, 5 of them solo, and a sack. Other sacks were Milton Williams, who was 2 sacks. Brandon Graham had a sack. Josh Sweat had a sack. That's a total of 5. They did not have any kick or punt returns. Or they did have an interception or a kick return. Britton Covey had 1 punt return for 8 yards. Jake Elliott was 3 for 3 on field goals with a long of 31 and 4 of 4 on extra points. The Rams, Matthew Stafford was 24 of 36 for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns.
I know.
Sacked 5 times for 45 yards. Kyren Williams, 16 carries, 72 yards and a touchdown. Matthew Stafford, 1 carry for 15 yards. And Blake Corum, 1 for 5. Receiving, Puka Nacua, 9 for 117. Cooper Kupp, 8 for 60 and a touchdown. Tutu Atwell, 3 for 30. Demarcus Robinson, 2 for 15 and a touchdown. Tyler Johnson, 1 for 11. Colby Parkinson, 1 for 10. And Davis Allen did not haul in his target. Fumbles. Kyren Williams fumbles twice, loses 1. Matthew Stafford fumbles. Cooper Kupp fumbles. Recoveries by Steve Avila and Bo Limmer. Christian Rosenboom, bringing that name up. 12 total tackles, 7 solo. The only sack goes to Braden Fisk. No interceptions. Xavier Smith with 2 kick returns for a total of 62 yards with a long of 32. He also had 1 punt return for 11 yards. Josh Carty, 0 of 1 on field goals and 2 of 2 on extra points. All right, Chris, bring us home.
All right, let's talk about the Ravens and the Chargers. And man, this game was so interesting up until the very end.
Yes.
Pretty much the fourth quarter is when things started becoming less interesting.
They started having trouble in the third quarter, but the beginning of the game was super fun.
Yes. So, let's look at it. We have Baltimore winning 30-23 over the Chargers. So, let's look at stats. Ravens, Lamar Jackson, 16 for 22 passing, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Rushing, of course, Derrick Henry, 24 for 140 yards, no touchdowns, but God, they could not stop him running the ball. Every time I saw him running, I saw at least 2 or 3 people needing to tackle him. Justice Hill, 4 rushing attempts for 55 yards and a touchdown. Lamar Jackson, 8 rushing attempts for 15 yards and a touchdown. Receiving, we have Justice Hill, 2 for 7. Mark Andrews, 5 for 44 and a touchdown. Rashad Bateman, 2 for 43 and a touchdown. And Zay Flowers, 5 for 62 yards. No fumbles, no interceptions. Brandon Stevens had 1 sack. Joseph Tupou had 1 sack. Calvin Noy had a sack. Wadafa Owe had a sack for a total of 4 sacks on the night. Justin Tucker, 1 for 1 on field goals. 45 was the long. 3 for 3 on extra points. No kickoff or punt returns. So let's go look at the Chargers. See what they did. Because they did not play poorly either. Justin Herbert was 21 of 36. 218 yards. No touchdowns, but no picks. Gus Edwards had 9 rushing attempts for 11 yards and a touchdown. J.K. Dobbins had 6 rushing attempts for 40 yards. And Justin Herbert had 4 rushing attempts for 29 yards and a touchdown. Receiving, J.K. Dobbins, 3 for 19. Jalen Reagor, 2 for 20. Josh Palmer, 3 for 38. Ladd McConkey, 6 for 83. And Will Disley, 4 for 47. Justin Herbert did fumble the ball but did not lose it. No interceptions. Derwin James had a sack. And that was the only sack on the night for them. Kicking, Cameron Dicker, the kicker, 3 for 3 on field goals for a long of 52, 2 for 2 on extra points. Kickoff returns, we have Darius Davis had 1 kickoff return for 46 yards, and he had 1 punt return for 19 yards. Overall, they actually have very similar stats. They played very similarly. Shocking. The two brothers have very similar ways they play football. Unfortunately, Baltimore just played a little bit better, and that's ultimately what happened. It was a very close game.
They asked the brothers about things, and one of them, I forget who it was, said, "I would give up my life for my brother, but I wouldn't lose a football game for him."
Exactly. They are very highly competitive. I think John's the one on the Ravens, if I remember correctly, and he ended up winning out this time over Jim. So it was a close game, though. Hey, no, none of that. None of that. No, none of that. You know I don't like that here. No.
No, more than that, even they have another brother who quarterbacked a college to a national championship or high school to a championship or something.
Yep.
So that was the first one to win something big, and then John won the Super Bowl over Jim, and then Jim won a national championship at Michigan.
Yes.
So
exactly.
That's a
and
success.
I think Jim, and also Jim was a quarterback. I believe he played for the Bears.
Yes, both of them I believe were quarterbacks, but one of them I believe it was Jim was a starter and John was a backup.
I think John was the backup.
Yeah. But yeah, they were both quarterbacks. They were both. That family is a highly successful family.
Yes, they very much are.
So let's tell some dirty, stinky people to hit the showers, shall we?
Sure, why not?
All right, I'll start this week. Quentin Johnson hit the showers. You couldn't hold on to shit. You dropped everything, and it was abysmal watching you.
It was unfortunate. There were so many good attempts, too. I think the Chargers could have won if you would have caught just fucking one of those goddamn passes.
Probably.
Deebo Samuel hit the fucking showers. I'm pissed at you, dude.
Anthony Richardson. You went from getting a game ball last week to being in the showers this week.
That's true. Tommy Cutlets hit the showers.
Christian McCaffrey hit the showers.
That's fair. Devin Singletary hit the showers.
Yeah, fair. Alrighty. Inferno?
Sure. You want to go or you want me to go?
You can go.
You want to go first? Okay. So, starting at my least severe, we have Brian Dable in the third circle. You're starting to lose the locker room, bud. You need to tighten that reins real fucking fast.
I have someone in the second circle, and it's Shane Steichen.
Oh, okay.
Head coach of the Colts. You're starting to heat. Your seat's getting a little warm because you had a magical run last year with Gardner, and Richardson looked okay to start the season, but there's been no growth, and he's been very streaky ever since. You need to figure something out there, or you're gonna lose it.
Fair enough. All right, my next two are very critical, and for good reasons. So, Jerry Jones, 10th circle. What the fuck are you doing?
So you put Brian Dable in the third circle. Go on, though, if you have any more about Jerry Jones.
Nope, that's it. That's all I had to say.
I put the Giants in the 10th circle.
Oh, okay.
The whole franchise, mostly management, though, because I can't 100% blame all the players, all right?
No.
I don't even really blame Dable. I blame the guys in charge, and I blame, the ownership, because this is a dumpster fire of epic proportions.
Yeah. I agree. And then the last one, Doug Peterson, how the fuck do you still have a job?
He had a bye week, so I didn't put him in mine.
I still can't. I'm sorry. This is the perfect time to have fired him. The bye week. But you didn't do it.
Matt Eberflus, how the fuck do you still have a job? Your offensive coordinator may have saved your own ass. You still can't win, But your
Looks
offensive
better,
coordinator is making you look better than you really are.
Yeah, looks better.
Oh, Lord. Let's give out some game balls before we do the hot potatoes, shall we?
Sure.
I'll
You want
start.
me to go or you go?
I'll start game balls.
All right, I know who you're gonna do first. Do it.
No, you don't. I'm gonna do the Monday
Really?
Night Football ref crew.
Oh, okay.
You guys are getting a game ball because out of all the ref crews, you actually called a good game and didn't suck. You had one ref who was obviously anti-Ravens, but you all seemed to fucking smack him in the head and got him right.
I'll take the obvious one then. Saquon Barkley, game ball.
I'm not going to be mad at that. I'm going to take the other obvious one, Tua, game ball.
Yeah, that's fair. There's actually quite a few obvious ones. The
There
problem is
are
I don't think
this
we have
week.
enough game balls to give them all one.
We don't.
Let me see here. Who else do I want to give a game ball to? Let's go with Addison. You get a game ball.
Since you took Addison, I'm going to go a different route. I'm going to say, you know what? Caleb Williams. You lost, but you played a hell of a game. Game ball.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's go with. Ooh, who do I want to go with here? I think I'm going to go with. Trying to think of who I really want to give one to. Quickly make sure of something here. Make sure I get the name right here. Because more for the funniness of it than anything else. Okay, Vontae Turpin, you get a game ball. That was it just was funny to watch. It was so funny to watch.
That was amazing. That was an amazing return, and you know what?
It was great.
More power to you. Honorable mention to Bo Nix. Alrighty.
I was debating on Cortland Sutton, but I didn't do it.
I thought about him too, but Bo played a very good game. Like, I've been impressed with Bo Nix. You called it early on. I wasn't sure, but that dude is like, I think that's Sean Payton's quarterback in Denver now.
Yeah, I was gonna say they have that matchup. Bo Nix had a little bit more time in college too to click. Didn't take him as long to get into the zone, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. I feel like
you give him a little bit.
You're gonna laugh at me. Ducks, Dylan Gabriel. I feel like the same thing coming out of college. Like,
yeah, I could see it. I could see that.
He's going to because he's a 6-year senior.
Yeah, I could see it.
He's had a long time in college.
And now we also have to remember that, and also the Ducks. I mean, if you look at that offense, it's not going to make him look amazing. But the thing is,
we saw that Justin Herbert really good stats, and they are the #1 team in the nation.
But I mean, in general, like if you look at the offense, it's not.
Yeah, no.
It's not a high. It's not a high flying offense, so it doesn't make him look. Oh my God! Look how great his arm is. Like even though I think he probably does have one.
He looks accurate. He gets the ball to the right receiver, and he has a lot of touchdowns compared to his interceptions. So.
I wonder who else looked like that, but then got dropped in the draft.
Huh.
His name starts with a J. But yes, I was gonna say is that we're starting to see more and more of that come up in the NFL, where it's more about not just the arm talent, but like, okay, let's see what scheme they were playing in, and then now we can see what kind of player they might actually be.
I've been saying for a while that I would prefer to have a college quarterback who showed me that he was accurate over one that showed me he had a ridiculous arm. I'm not concerned because
I want some arm, but I know what you mean.
Yes, but like I'm not like so. What was his name out of LSU who got drafted to the Raiders? Jamarcus Russell.
Oh, Jamarcus Russell, yeah.
Great arm. Hell of an arm. Cannon of an arm.
Yeah.
No motivation, and his accuracy was suspect.
I was gonna say the big one for him was probably more the motivation than anything else. Because I think he could have easily gotten better accuracy if he actually wanted to play. But that's just me. Something that you can kind of work on, and that's what I was gonna say is arm talent. Sometimes you can't get more of, but accuracy you could typically work on. So it
sometimes
depends on how your priorities. Just depends on your priorities and everything.
Yep. All right, you ready for some hot potatoes?
Sure.
Do you want me to start? Do you have any ready?
I got one right off the bat. I don't know
go
if
ahead
it's
and shoot it
super
at me.
spicy or not, but I'll shoot it.
Shoot it at me.
Loki, hey, bastard. All right. Maybe. Just maybe. The Cowboys will not win another Super Bowl as long as Jerry Jones is on that fucking team.
You know what? I'm going to eat that because I've given you that one before.
I know. I'm throwing it back finally. I'm going, fuck it. I'm done with you, Jerry. You're fucking done. Fucking moron. You've gotten so senile at this point. Jesus Christ.
All right. I'm going to start with a not spicy one. Maybe Bo Nix is the offensive rookie of the year?
Offensive rookie of the year. I mean, I'm trying to think who else might even be in contention for that right now.
Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams.
Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams would be the big one. Jaden Daniels is probably the big one that I would argue is probably got a leg up on him at the moment. So I'm not going to full on eat that, but it is definitely between those two, 100%.
Yeah.
No question. So he does have a pretty good chance. I mean, we're talking 50-50 at this point. We'll see how the backstretch here goes. All right. Maybe. Just maybe. There's something wrong with the Texans.
I think I'm going to eat that because I think teams are starting to figure out Bobby Slowick's offense.
I was going to say, it feels like they're figuring something's going wrong or somebody's figuring something out because they're not playing quite as well as they were last year or even the beginning of this year. It feels like they're really slowed down bad.
They have. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the blocking scheme. I don't know if it's the scheme overall. I don't know what it is, but Bobby Slowick's offense, I think, is starting to be figured out.
No.
All right, here's a comedy one for you, at least. And then I'll hit you with the spicy one at the end. Maybe. The Cowboys don't need to play every fucking Thanksgiving. God damn it.
I know what you mean, but it's they paid so much fucking money back in the day, and Jerry pushed it so hard that they're always gonna give him the Thanksgiving game.
I fucking hate that because they
it wouldn't
suck
exist
this
without
year.
him.
It's gonna be the fucking Giants and the Cowboys, and that game is gonna stink worse than the leftovers.
I don't know. Well, that's gonna be bad. The Black Friday game's not gonna be very good either.
No, but I don't give a shit about that because I can avoid that.
Isn't there 2 games going on Thanksgiving?
There's 3 on Thanksgiving.
3 is Thanksgiving.
There's always 3 on Thanksgiving.
Okay. Well,
there's an early game, then there's a game that's like over dinner, and then there's the late post game.
Night post game, yeah. So at least only one of them's gonna really suck bad.
Because the other 2, hold on, we're gonna get into this because we're gonna have to pick.
At some point, we will. Yeah.
No. Well, that might be more interesting than the other one. The problem is the Giants and the Cowboys are the one that that's on over the meal. That's a
that doesn't shock me.
That's a 3:30 game, and the late game could be interesting.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you. It is annoying seeing the Cowboys every time, but because of how much he pushed it to get that, I just don't think they'll ever not have the Cowboys be in Thanksgiving as long as Jerry Jones owns that fucking team. We'll see. But it is annoying to see because the Cowboys are definitely not good this year. They haven't been great for a while, to be fair. All right. What should I do for my last one? Hmm. You know what? I'm gonna do one that's a little out there, a little off topic slightly. Maybe, just maybe, Deion Sanders should not become an NFL head coach.
Yeah, I agree. At least not yet. I think
Yeah.
he needs a few more years as a college coach, proving what he's doing. Like, give me some years at Colorado without Travis Hunter and Shador and Shiloh. Let's see what you can do when you don't have that, and show me some other things. I know he's got a couple of big recruits coming in,
Yeah, he
um,
does.
so I would like to see what you can do when you're not coaching your sons and the
Mm-hmm.
best wide receiver cornerback on planet Earth in college.
Yeah.
Um, let's see what you have. Let's see what you do when you don't have that, because I think that will make things interesting.
Agreed.
All right, here's the one that I don't think you're going to agree with. It's
All
spicy,
right.
but hear me out. Maybe the NFL should do away with MVP and split it in half into an offensive MVP and a defensive MVP. Tired of seeing all these quarterbacks all the time. It's literally just the best quarterback award. Can we get something else in here, please?
Um, I disagree, but I don't necessarily disagree. So what I'll say is, I think that the MVP should still stay the way it is, but I think they should introduce some type of new award that can call out, a defensive player of the year or an offensive player of the year kind of thing.
Because we do have the defensive and offensive player of the year, but it never feels like it's as important as the MVP.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that they should push it more to be like a really
I
important
feel
thing.
like if
Give it
you're
like
gonna
a name of some kind, because then it'll be more prestigious. Quite often, if you name it like the Peyton Award, like it means more, right? It holds more value.
So like there's also like I feel like
Or instead of calling it MVP, call it the most valuable defensive player, the most valuable offensive player, something like that.
the thing that I'm going to say is like quarterbacks win it all the time. I feel like if you want to keep the MVP, then whoever wins it needs to be disallowed from offensive player of the year if it's a quarterback and best quarterback. They need
Well, yeah, of course.
they've won their big award. They're the most valuable player. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Now
Yeah, I
we're
agree
going
with
to
that.
now we're going to say that this quarterback and this offensive player are also going to get recognized. You're not in the running anymore. You won the big award. Get out.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too.
I think
to be
that
fair,
would-
most of the time when they do win MVP, they typically don't win also Offensive Player of the Year, but sometimes it does happen, and it shouldn't. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think there are ways that they could do better. I agree with that. I just don't think they should necessarily split the MVP itself.
Okay. All right. And that's kind of it.
Hmm?
All righty. You ready to do some power rankings?
I am. I don't know how much you're gonna like them though.
I don't know how much you're gonna like mine either. So I'll go ahead and get started. At number
We're normally
10,
like right. It's funny how often the last 2 weeks we were like right on par, but I think this week's gonna. I think this might be a different week. We'll see. It might be hilarious to see that we're actually still somehow really close.
we'll see. I don't think we are.
No, I
You've
don't
probably
think
got
so.
some
It's gonna
teams
be
on
funny.
there that I don't. You've probably got some other teams that are higher up. I just we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
At number 10 for me, I have the Denver Broncos. I like what they've been doing recently. They've been playing really good football. They played the Chiefs hard. They've played everybody hard. They've been winning. Bo Nix has looked good. Yeah, this has been a good team lately.
Agreed. At number 10, I had the Denver Broncos. Yep, I agree with that. I debated. Honestly, I was debating on putting who was it? The Chargers here, but then they lost, and I didn't feel comfortable putting them. If they had won, they probably would have taken the spot over the Broncos.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned
Because the
that.
Chargers, I'm not gonna lie to you, because the Chargers are like right there for me. They're not in my top 10. I really wanted to put them in here, but I didn't put them in here.
Well,
I
it's
know
funny.
you probably have them at 9 now.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I do have the Chargers at 9. I didn't drop them out of
Yeah.
the top 10 because they lost to the Ravens, and the Ravens are a really, really good
They are a
team.
good team.
So
They are a
I'm
good
not
team.
I'm not mad at them. Like they deserve to be still in the top 10 in my opinion. They played the Ravens hard. They played really, really well. They've been playing good football. Herbert has been playing like a beast. I think part of it is you could tell in the second half they didn't have J.K. Dobbins. His knee got injured and he did not come back to the
Yep.
game. That was definitely a blow for them. I think with Dobbins in there and Quentin Johnson catching maybe two passes that he didn't, maybe they win that game.
Maybe. I don't disagree, but unfortunately, I just don't have them in here. At 9, actually, I have the Washington Commanders, which I assume you don't have in your top 10.
Nope. You lose to the Cowboys.
So that's
you don't
the
get a
one.
spot there.
That's the one difference. I'm counting that as a fluke. They dropped. Remember, they were higher up on my list. They have dropped. I mean, we're talking like 4 fucking spots. Like they've almost out of my top 10. It's not enough for me to drop them completely, but they have another bad game. They definitely will. The Chargers will take that spot. I think there's still enough positive going for them. It's not like they got blown out by the Cowboys. They should have won if their kicker didn't fucking miss that extra point and take them in the OT. In fact, he missed 2 of them. They would have actually won if they would have made both of them. So I can't blame the team for that. Like it's one individual did not play as well as he should have. Jaden had some issues, like you said, he might be playing slightly injured too. So I'm not going to hold it completely against them yet. They get one extra chance at that, but yeah, they happen to sit at my 9 now.
All right, number 8 for me is another team that lost, but they've still been playing really well recently, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. You guys did lose to the Browns, kind of a fluky game. I will tell George Pickens to calm down because at the end of the game, you kind of had
He was a little upset, yeah.
Yeah, a little upset. Just calm down, dude. It's a snow game. Relax. It's okay. You guys had one bad game. You'll get better again. It's all right.
Did you see that one play where he got Russell threw a pick, and there was 2 defenders there, and the guy that got the pick ran away, and Pickens had no chance at him, but then Pickens just straight up just tackled the other defender, just like threw him to the ground and everything, like grabbed it like it's straight up. I was like, Jesus, Pickens, like there. You could say you were blocking him, but you just literally grabbed this dude and just threw him to the ground like you were pissed off. Like, fuck hell, man.
But yeah, overall, I'd say. Oh, also, I wanted to say apparently somebody asked or made the statement to Mike Tomlin that Antonio Brown said he'd come back and play for the Steelers for free right now. And Tomlin just looked at the guy and then walked off the stage.
Like I don't even know what to say. Like
I'm
there's
not
a reason
gonna
why he's not here no more. I'm not even going to entertain
dignify
that.
that with an answer.
Yeah. Not even going to dignify. Like, let's be honest with you. I think Antonio Brown is one of an unfortunate people that had too many CTEs, and I think his brain's permanently screwed up, to be honest with you. Because he's still athletic as fuck and can still play, but his brain is just not there no more.
Yeah, but yeah, the Steelers for me at 8. They're still playing well, even though you lost. You still all right.
At number 8, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't have anything I'd add to that.
At number 7, I have the Green Bay Packers. Y'all are also playing very good football right now. You did almost lose to the Bears, but you didn't. And then you came out and you stomped the Niners. Asterisks.
Very wounded. Very
wounded Niners team, but you didn't fall for the trap game. You came out and you took care of business. So yeah, no, you absolutely deserve to have a spot here. It's entirely possible that the North is going to send 3 teams to the playoffs in the Lions, the Vikings, and the Packers. I would not be surprised by that. Not in the slightest.
At number 7, I have the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, they've been playing well, and I hate it. And here we are.
I think this is where we're going to start diverging now.
Yes, this is where the divergence is going to
happen. Because at number 6, I have the Eagles. You guys are playing very, very good football right now. It's just, there's so many teams playing good football that I can't move you up more. And I'm worried that at some point, at a critical juncture, Saquon is going to explode. As you guys aren't going to be able to put anybody in to replace him. Um, that I think is my biggest fear, is that you are a very one-dimensional team that is very Saquon oriented. Look, can you throw the ball? Yes. Would it work better if you had Devonta Smith? Yes. When you get Smith back, if you keep doing this and you keep on, you limit, not limit, but you can reduce some of his carry capacity and start throwing a little more to Devonta and AJ, and you can rebalance that load a little bit, and you keep winning, maybe you'll go up further. But right now, I'm very worried that you're super one-dimensional.
At number 6, I have the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, you've lost some bad games, unfortunately. You are playing well. You did win the game against the Chargers, but they definitely gave you a run for their money. And considering the fact that they, didn't have J.K. at the back half, Quentin Johnson didn't know how to fucking catch a football again. I would say you came away with a very lucky win, to be honest with you. I mean, you're not playing bad. You're playing good football, but there's too many holes that other teams that are really good have taken advantage of that are better than you. And I think I'm starting to see that now, because the couple of games you did lose were against teams that found the holes and abused it. And we'll see if other teams start doing it or not.
At number 5, I have the Vikings. You didn't move this week. Despite a win, you didn't move. And primarily that's because you probably should have beat these guys by more. You had a chance to beat them by more, and you let them back in the fourth quarter. Granted, Caleb bought so much time with his legs, and you guys could not can catch him.
No, he was...
And there was that one play he had where he rolled all the way out to the sideline. You thought he was going to throw it away. He threw it downfield, and friggin' Keenan Allen came down with it. You just went, how?
Yeah.
So, look, I get it, but you shouldn't have ever been in that situation to begin with. Also, letting them recover that onside kick was incorrigible.
At number 5, I have the Chiefs. Listen, you guys should not have even been that close in that game. You guys have been constantly too close in too many games, and in fact probably should have lost 2 other games by now, based upon the fact that you came away with lucky, like a blocked field goal, and I think there was another one that was something else where you got like an interception late or something. Like, you guys are getting way too lucky. I'm starting to see it fade. I think it's going to start fading fast. Unless you guys get better real quick. I feel like a losing streak's going to happen in December.
At number 4, I have the Ravens. I did think about switching them with the Eagles at 6, but I just have, like, their defense has some holes. Their offense is really good. And that's what's been keeping them afloat, is Derrick Henry and Lamar have been playing lights-out football right now.
Right.
We'll have to see how this goes, because currently they still trail the Steelers in the division, but not by much. Mm-hmm. And, yeah, they also haven't had their bye week yet, which is coming up not this week, but the week after.
Right.
So we'll have to see how all of this plays out, but they look real strong to me still. We'll have to see who else can take advantage of the holes in their defense and whether or not they can fix the holes in their defense.
Right. All right. At 4, I have the Vikings. I'm not as harsh about it as you, as far as the Bears are concerned. I actually think the game actually makes sense to me. The Bears have been getting better. They almost beat the Packers. They almost beat the Chiefs. I think they're a far better team than you're giving them credit for. I think that this was a close game on purpose, because I think both teams are just that good. The Vikings are just a little bit better. The Bears just need to work on their defense, because their offense is perfectly fine.
I was more concerned with the fact that we were leading quite comfortably and let them back in the fourth quarter. That's, I think, what I was concerned with.
I think that's more their offense getting better and was reading the defense, but that's just me. The way I was watching it, Caleb was getting better and better as he played. just like Bo Nix did in his game.
All right. I'm not as harsh with the Chiefs, but I am harsh with them. They did drop a spot. They are number 3. Um, I'm seeing what you're seeing. I've been seeing it for a while, which is why they haven't. Which is why even when they were unbeaten, they weren't in number 1 slot. We'll see. They're. I don't know when they're going to lose again, but I know they're going to lose to someone again. It won't be this week.
No.
But
It shouldn't be this week.
I have to look up their upcoming schedule, but I might pick against them again soon. So we'll have to see how this works out for them, unless things start improving there, because they've been getting lucky. I think Mahomes needs to stop over relying on his athleticism and his arm, and needs to start scripting more. So we'll have to see how that works.
At number 3, I have the Eagles. They've been playing really well. I know that it's been the Saquon show, and obviously there is some worries of injury, but I can't take that into account because he isn't actually injured yet. And while they are one-dimensional, Saquon doesn't seem to give a fuck. So until he explodes, he's at 3.
Number 2, I'll give you my 1 and my 2. 2 is the Bills. 1 is still the Lions.
Yep.
Bills had a bye, but you climbed over the Chiefs because you're playing better. You also beat them the last time you guys played. I think you're playing really good football. You get back Matt Milano this week as well, so that's a boon for your defense. As we mentioned, Josh Allen, probably not a contender for MVP, but he's still playing really well. We'll have to see how that looks in another couple of weeks. I'll do another Contender Pretenders with that. In a couple of weeks, we'll take a look at... I don't know what we'll take a look at. We'll take a look at something. But maybe by the end of the season, we'll do another Contender Pretender MVP. We'll see where he ranks then. Then the Lions. The Lions are the best team in football, period. Which it feels weird to say, because they've spent so many years being an absolute dumpster fire of an organization. And then Dan Campbell came in and changed the entire attitude of that locker room, and now they've got guys in that locker room who are willing to go headfirst into a wall for him. And I mean, that's just amazing. I cannot say enough good things about Dan Campbell. I cannot say enough good things about the Lions right now. I have felt bad, even as a Vikings fan, I have felt bad for that organization, because there were years where they had the best running back in football, and they couldn't win a playoff game. I watched Chicago go to a Super Bowl before Detroit. I mean, another one. Because they went to and won a Super Bowl in the 80s. And then they went to another Super Bowl before Detroit ever became good enough to win a playoff game.
True.
So, yeah. I feel bad for the Lions, and I am very glad to see the Lions running this division. I'm going to get sick of you eventually, but right now it's all good feelings and vibes.
I don't know. I'll give them one more. I'll give them the rest of this season. Next season, it'll be like, fuck you guys.
If they win the Super Bowl this year, it'll be like, next season it'll be like, all right, fuck you guys. But if they don't and they just make it there, I'll be like, okay, they get another one, see if they can run it back, maybe win the Super Bowl.
If they make the Super Bowl, nope, don't care. If they make the Super Bowl, don't care. Still gonna be like, nope, you're done. You made the Super Bowl before we did again. Fuck you.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, and your 1 and 2, are they the same?
Yeah. That's why I was agreeing with you. It's the Lions Bills.
Yeah, they are. It's been fantastic for them. I am not mad at them at all. All right, let's talk next week's games, shall we?
Sure.
All right, it starts off with Thursday's games. The early game, Bears at Lions.
Probably Lions, but I think the Bears will actually give them a run for their money, to be honest with you.
We'll have to see. The game over dinner, Giants at Cowboys.
I mean, oh boy. Weirdly enough, normally I'd pick the... do I pick the Cowboys here? Ah, God. I mean, they're not exactly great either. Giants aren't good. Fuck me. That depends on which one of them is going to show up, which Giants team we're going to get, and which Cowboys team we're going to get. Fuck it, I'm going Giants. I don't know why.
I'll take the Cowboys, and I will hold my nose while I do it.
I honestly, I don't think there's a win-win there at all.
I don't think there is either. Dolphins at Packers is the late game.
At Packers.
At Packers.
I'm going to pick Packers just because historically the Dolphins have not played good in cold stadiums.
Which is why I'm going to take the Packers as well. I like the Dolphins.
I do too.
But the Packers at Lambeau, when it's cold, the Dolphins do not do well in the cold.
No.
And it's a night game? Ooh, it's going to be cold.
It's going to be really cold, yeah.
All right. The Black Friday game. Raiders at Chiefs.
Listen, I would love to pick the Raiders here, but we both know it's probably going to be the Chiefs.
Yep, 100%. Cardinals at Vikings.
Vikings.
100%.
Cardinals are good. They did just get slapped by a team that I don't think they should have gotten slapped by.
But 100% the Vikings are going to just eat that offensive line for breakfast.
We should.
Here's an interesting one. Colts at Patriots.
Anthony Richardson's kind of been all over the place. Drake May has been pretty consistent, but doesn't have a lot of good talent around him. JT could have a good game, but then Ramondre Stevenson could have a good game too. So, I think the Patriots defense is actually a little bit better than the Colts, so I think I'm going to lean Patriots, but it isn't by a lot.
I'll take the Colts. Can't say that very often this season.
No.
Steelers at Bengals.
God.
Yeah.
I really want to pick the Bengals. Really badly, because Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow are fucking amazing. But that defense is so suspect.
And
the Steelers defense has a great defense with an okay offense. But they did just lose to the Browns. Granted, snow game. Ooh. How much do I want to hurt myself? I guess I'm going to go Bengals. Probably going to regret it, but I'm going to do it anyways.
I will take the Steelers. Chargers at Falcons.
Falcons have been playing dog shit. Chargers have been pretty good. I'll go Chargers.
I agree with you. I don't trust the Falcons to come out of the bye week energized to play this game.
Yeah, we'll see.
Seahawks at Jets.
Probably Seahawks, to be honest. I don't like it, but Jets have not been playing well.
I agree with you. Texans at Jaguars.
I mean, while the Texans have been on a downward trend, the Jaguars are basically at rock bottom, so Texans.
I agree again. Titans at Commanders.
Titans played really well last game. And I think that based on how they played, they could actually give a run here. Commanders are playing a little hurt. And their defense is not historically great. They've been motorboating most people. Can they motorboat Tennessee? Probably could, but I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to be 100%. I don't know if Brian Robinson Jr. is coming back. I don't know the state of that injury. Wow. I'm going to assume the Commanders had an off game, and I'm going to pick the Commanders.
You know what? I will take the Titans in this one, just on a hunch.
Right. Don't get me wrong.
May blow up in my face.
Yeah. I was really debating it, but.
Yep. Buccaneers
benefit of the doubt.
At Panthers.
I think this will be a closer game than people anticipate it to be. I do think that the Bucs will end up with the overall win, but I think it'll be close.
You know what? I'm going to hurt
Are
myself.
you gonna do it?
I'm going to do it. I'm going to take the Panthers. I'm going to hurt myself.
Ooh. The last 2 times you did that, it didn't go out in your favor.
No, it did not. But I'm doing it this time because they almost beat the Chiefs.
Fair.
Rams at Saints.
The Saints can't constantly rely on Taysom Hill to bail them the fuck out, so I'm gonna go Rams.
You know what? I'm taking the Saints. Because if it's not Taysom Hill, it'll be somebody else.
I don't know about that, man. The Saints have not looked great. They had that one good game, and since then it's been like, eh.
Well, they had a bye week this last week.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, they had the one game, and then they went to bye,
Yeah,
but the previous games before that were like...
Yeah, but
and then the games before that, they were fucking trash. True. So, I just don't know how much I believe in that, though.
We'll see. Here's the fun game of the week. Eagles at Ravens.
It's gonna be a close game, I anticipate. I think so. I think the Ravens have a better passing game, actually, which is weird to say. But I think the Eagles have a better running game right now. I think the Eagles might have a slightly better defense than the Ravens. Maybe? They're pretty even. I think I'm gonna lean Eagles.
I'll take the Ravens in this one. 49ers at Bills.
I mean, come on. It's going to be the Bills.
Yep. Browns at Broncos.
Listen, the Browns had a good game. But the Broncos have been just slowly getting better and better and better every week. So I think it's probably Broncos.
Probably Broncos as well. Yes, 100%. I agree with you. Alrighty. I don't have an NHL corner. A hockey corner. I don't know if we have a Vikings corner. Anything we want to talk about Vikings related?
I got nothing to bring up.
All right, so I'll do
outside of that stuff that I talked about with KOC talking. Like he had a great speech. By the way, if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. He have a locker room speech that was really, really good. He's got really good locker room speeches. And the one thing I will say about it is, from what I've seen, is KOC is one of those coaches. He's actually kind of a Dan Campbell coach, not in the same way. He's not as like bite your kneecaps, but he does still bring an energy where you can tell the players would do anything he's asked of them, kind of thing. He's very much a player's coach.
Very much so. And Dan Campbell also has great locker room speeches.
Exactly. So I think, funnily enough, I was going to say, funnily enough, I think the NFC North, outside of Matt Eberflus, has fairly good coaches and good teams for the future.
Yes.
And I'm very interested to see where this goes. And the one thing I will say is, I think at this point in time, I don't think anyone could argue it. I think KOC should be at least a contender for Coach of the Year, 100%. For what he's done with Sam Darnold, come on.
Dan Campbell.
Yeah, Dan Campbell, and who else could we put in there? Probably Andy Reid, because he's always in there.
Yeah, those are the big ones that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah, 100%.
We'll have to see how the rest of it works out. All right, so let's do some NHL power rankings real quick. There is a team that fell off this list, and it is the Florida Panthers of all teams.
Okay.
Something is wrong in Florida right now. Whether it took a couple of months for the Stanley Cup hangover to finally hit them in the face or what, but they have not played well recently. In the meantime, the Rangers are at number 10. They are 12-7-1 with 25 points, and in their last 10, they are a perfect 500 at 5-5. They're playing just good enough not to lose a spot on this list right now. I don't know if they're going to get better. There's rumors that they're trying to make a trade at the deadline, trying to find, or even before the deadline, trying to find some pieces that help them find some scoring and some other things that they need. 9 is the Dallas Stars at 13-7-0. They have 26 points. Their last 10, they are 6-4-0. Dallas is still a good team. I just don't think they're a great team anymore. And that's a problem. Um, Minnesota is number 8. The Wild are 13-4-4 with 30 points, and in their last 10, they are 5-3-2. Um, they got beat yesterday 4-1 by Winnipeg. Um, but still, they're having some trouble. Part of it is they obviously don't have Matt Zuccarello. He's been out. He had to have surgery. They had a scare the other day. I forget which game they played. Oh, at Calgary. Before Calgary, the game before that against Edmonton, whom they beat. Um, Kaprizov took a knee to his thigh, or maybe his own knee. We're not sure. But they held him out of the Calgary game. When they brought him back to Minnesota, he got some MRIs done. There is no major damage, and then he did skate against Winnipeg. So there was a scare for our top player, and you could definitely see it in the Calgary game. Speaking of Calgary, they are number 7. They have a record of 12-7-3 with 27 points in their last 10. They are 6-2-2. They're playing a lot better than they have in the past couple of years. There's been some concern when they traded away Matthew Tkachuk and they got back Huberdeau and Uyghur. And they signed Nazem Kadri, and they were supposed to get better, and then none of it worked. This year, they finally seem to be gelling. A lot of the pieces finally seem to be clicking. They finally have their goalie issues sorted. So they look like a much better team this year. At number 6, we have the Washington Capitals, who are 14-6-1, with a total of 29 points. In their last 10, they are 6-3-1. They did get some bad news. Alexander Ovechkin, the Great 8, has a fractured bone in his leg, and he will be out for I think they said 4 to 6 weeks. And he was on a hot streak too. So, like, we're not sure if he's probably gonna break Gretzky's goals record this year. But now it's unsure because of the extended time he's probably gonna have to take off. Number 5 is the Vegas Golden Knights. They are 14-6-2 with 30 points. And their last 10, they are 6-3-1. Vegas is still a wagon, man. It's what Vegas does best is just continue to find players that play. They lost Marchessault, and they don't seem to care. They just keep on playing good hockey. Number 4 is the Carolina Hurricanes. They are 15-5-1 with 31 points in their last 10. They are 6-3-1. Again, Carolina, every year they seem to be really good under Rod Brindamore. Just can they get over that playoff hump and stop crumbling in the playoffs? Number 3, the Toronto Maple Leafs, 13-6-2 with only 28 points, but in their last 10, they're 7-2-1. They're on a 4-game heater, which is amazing considering how many people they don't have in their lineup right now. They are a very injured team, and they're still finding ways to win. Anthony Stolarz has been awesome in net for them. Joseph Woll has been pretty good when called upon to be in the net, and this team is a lot better than I think even they thought they would be. Number 2, the New Jersey Devils, 15-7-2, 32 points. In their last 10, they are 8-2-0. I like that. I think that's pretty good for them. This is Sheldon Keefe's new team. He used to coach the Maple Leafs, but every year the Maple Leafs would always put up these good records in the regular season and then fall apart in the playoffs. We'll have to see how the Devils do. And number 1, still your reigning number 1, the Winnipeg Jets at 18-4-0 with 36 points. And their last 10, they are 7-3-0. What do I say? The Winnipeg Jets are a wagon. Period. End of subject on that. They are coasting to a President's Cup right now. I got nothing more to say about that. Connor Hellebuck's probably going to win the best goalie. They are playing unbelievable right now. But that's what I got for the NHL. Outside of small NHL note, the Boston Bruins fired Jim Montgomery as their head coach. Because they haven't been playing very well this year. And he immediately got snapped up by the St. Louis Blues, who fired their head coach to bring in Jim Montgomery. Okay. I got nothing else on that. You got any last thoughts?
Nope. Nope, not really.
All right, didn't think so. I know you're not really going to pay attention to hockey until playoff time.
Pretty much. A little early yet for me.
I just enjoy hockey. I don't know what it is. I like it.
Hey, no, I get it. I'm no fault to you.
All right. So that is the end of this week. We will see you back here again next week. In the meantime, we hope that you all have a wonderful Thanksgiving out there. And go ahead, put your mind to whatever you want to accomplish. We believe that you can do it. I will leave you with words of wisdom for Thanksgiving. If you find yourself at the party and you cannot find the party pooper, you indeed are the pooper.
Go get a scoop.
Go get a scoop. We will say this, stay bearded, and peace out.